Good afternoon, good evening, and good night to everyone. Hope everybody that's in the path of various natural disasters are being safe. And also, shout out to Robert. Hopefully, your father is doing better in the hospital. I heard you say that you were on your way to there, so it sounds to me that he's not out yet. So we've got a busy week today as far as news is concerned. Marcus has shared with us a video that I will pull up later, and let's start with one that I already shared on what drives us. Let's look at the chat first. Yes, thank you for following us. And hey, Robert. So first up today, we've got a report out of China that says that Volkswagen is too stuffy to sell their cars. So what's happening is that the customers are going to other brands and like Tesla and NIO and several others and finding that they're friendly, they're dressed down kind of like I am, a polo, casual, business casual, if you will, or actually just casual, not even business casual. And so what they're finding is that the interaction with the Volkswagen folks is coming up as a little bit stuffy and stodgy, a little bit as if they're being looked down upon, and so it's actually cost them sales. And this is a boots on the ground measurement. It's not a matter of speculation. It literally is the guy asked the customers, "Hey, why didn't you buy from the VW?" And they said they were stuffy. So that was interesting to me. Curious, what experiences you guys have had with folks when you're buying cars. If has the way that they held themselves ever played into your purchase at all? Like if they had a certain attitude, you just walked away without even going any further. I had some customers when I sold cars where if the manager looked at them wrong or was focused all the attention on, like say it's a husband and wife, they focus all the attention on the man and it's the wife's car, they would just get up and leave. And as a salesperson, that was terrible, but uh, I would hope that the manager learned in time. It's just unfortunate they learned on me and my customer. But let's take a look and see what's coming up next. I have a lot of fun ones today, and I'm kind of holding some of them back till our folks show up. There was a rumor that the side of Gigafactory Texas, as I call Terra Texas, was going to have a Cybertruck silhouette on the side, and the article for that has been pulled because it didn't come true. They ended up finishing in the side of the building, but it looked like the window shape was going to be the silhouette of a Cybertruck, the same way that like on the Jeep, you'll see like little Jeep logos everywhere, and it was that same kind of thing. It was kind of cool, and unfortunately, not only did Tesla not plan on it, they also didn't alter their plans to make it happen, because that would have been really cool. We've got a tweet that I wanted to share. A series of tweets. It is regarding air quality. So right now, we're all fighting with air quality. Some of us, it's a little more present than others. We've got fires in Europe and in the Western North America. And then we've got a respiratory virus that's spreading all over. So this contraption here is made from a $12 to $20 box fan and a bunch of MERV 13 filters. And I'll go through the thread in a moment, but you want to change it every 3 months if you're using it to filter out smoke and fire sort of situations. Yep, PM 2.5 will be filtered by this, Robert. You also want to make sure that if you're using it to filter for the respiratory virus, that you're going to change it every 6 months. But why it comes up in addition to the natural disasters is we've got all these kids going back to school right now, and a lot of the schools haven't either been able to receive their money or use their money for their ventilation retrofits. And so he suggests that you use one of these in the middle of the most students, and then another, if you can, in between the talking teacher and those students. So it's really simple. You take a bunch of MERV 13 filters, and you're going to face them so the airflow is inside the box. And you want to put the fan on the one side, and you want to have them pointed up like this because a lot of these particles will settle, and you don't want to just be blowing them around the room. You want to be filtering them, so you want to put it up like this. And you just literally tape them together with painter's tape, duct tape, whatever you got. And so you had a couple of quick questions and answers with it. So, do they work on aerosols like carry SARS-CoV-2? Yes. He links to some studies on that, and they're asking, is it as good as $900 filter? And he says, yeah. He's using MERV 13 in the instructions, but in the studies they use MERV 11, which isn't as strong of filtration. So as long as it's below 5 microns or below, that's incredible. And it's not very loud either. Okay, that was a terrible example, but I think that noise is an effect of the microphone. But anyway, I'm thinking about actually building one of these for my home because we've still got a little bit of dust, even though we've got a nice commercial filter on the main level. We've got our air handler filter, and then we've got a small one upstairs, but I don't like the small one is quite loud, and there's still all sorts of particulates in the air as far as dust, and then during pollen season, it was still a little bit sneezy, so I'm going to try this out myself as well. Look at these prices. This right here is going to, even if it's not perfect, like if we just put it together and it's not perfect, this will allow some relief. And one important thing he goes to point on is that this doesn't mean that you don't need masks. You still need to use the masks with this solution. Because it is filtering, but there's still other air out there that's mixing in. Yeah, you want to worry about asbestos dust as well. I mean, this situation we've got right now is just incredible with the amount of just stuff to breathe in out west, out in Europe, and then worldwide with this virus. It's a mess. And so this was inexpensive. It was quick, and I wanted to share it with you folks because it may help somebody. What is another fun topic? Got a bunch, and I wanted to have some of them with the co-hosts on. Let's see. This is an interesting one. Share screen. So Ford is talking about doubling the F-150 Lightning production plan, and it's still not going to be enough because they received so many pre-orders that they thought that they would double the production output, but they were still going to put them at a disadvantage for completing their orders in a reasonable time. Because now they're going to hit 15,000 vehicles in 2022, 50 in 2023, 80 in 2024, and then 160,000 in 2025 by the time the next generation Lightning hits. I don't know that talking about the next generation before you've built the first one is that productive. At this point, I would suppose that there's going to be folks that just need a truck now, and if you're looking at 2025, that's 4 more years, and some folks can't hold their truck that long. Other folks don't keep them that long. It's just when you consider that a lot of their market is as work trucks, they need to be able to get their business done in the meantime. They can't just keep waiting on the next best thing. And it's just like we tell Tesla customers is you want to buy the one that meets your needs when it's available at the price you want with the features you want, because hey, it might be gone next week. I don't think that will be the case here with Ford, but if you wait 4 years for the next truck, and then oh well, I might as well wait 3 years for the next truck, and just like waiting for like the ultimate technology in a computer or a phone, you'll be waiting forever. Yeah. Oh no. Oh man. Ventilators. Yeah. Hopefully he's one of the ones that comes off the vent in the course. So that's Ford. Another copy of the Ford article, but from a different source. This one was fun to me. The Gigafactory Berlin is no longer looking like it's going to be suffering from the astroturfing environmentalists. Uh, so last week we talked about them losing, not losing, but one of the two groups that was suing them gave up on the lawsuit, and uh, now it's looking like they're actually starting to trust the numbers. And I don't know why everybody's assuming that he's coming out lying. It's bad press, I suppose. But this is good news because we're going to need more EVs, and it'll be less of an environmental impact to build them locally than to ship them from California to everywhere, or even from China to everywhere. So there's that one. Right, and then in Netherlands, the share of plug-in cars has gone up to 25% for July of 2021, and what we're finding is that worldwide EVs are going up, and the fossil cars are either holding steady or dipping slightly, and there's many things going into why the fossils are dropping. It's not necessarily that the EVs are eating their lunch. That is part of it. Most people only need one or two cars at a time. And but then realistically, a lot of the other bit of it is that the market is to the point where folks are rather hang on to their existing combustion cars than buy a new one right now. When the chip shortage and sorry, Dan distracted me. Yeah, answer that real quick. All right, there we go. So yeah, so the plug-in cars have secured a 25% of Netherlands market share for 2021. Tesla. So the Model Y in Giga Shanghai is at 1,000 units per day, which is more than their Model 3s. And that is incredible. When you consider there's 365 days in the year, and you take out 20 of them for downtime or so, you'll get over 300,000 Model Ys just from China. And then you consider that Texas is opening soon, and Fremont's already running at least two, if not 3 or 4 lines that can handle Model Y. They're running 2 for sure of Model Y, but I'm not sure if they take any of the Model 3 lines and put Model Ys on them, especially right now with the focus being on new Model S and Model Y. Don't have your GPU? I hear that they're becoming more available, so hopefully you get yours soon. Oh, this was a fun one to me. So the Prufrock tunnel boring machine is available in Texas, and they ran it through a couple tests, and I'm curious to see where their first project is, because one thing that came up is that the boring company has offered to make a tunnel from Starbase, Texas to the beach, so that way when the roads are closed, folks can continue to use a path to the beach. And it's interesting to see that proposal, because I'm curious if that will be a situation where they do like the boring loop in Vegas, where the cars are provided by Tesla, the boring company, to riders, or if they're going to actually make a full-size tunnel that can do ventilation for combustion cars, etc. I don't know that unless they're trying to get the experience with building a full-size tunnel, I don't know that that's what's going to happen. It seems that they would actually just put a bunch of off-lease Model 3s and Model Ys in a lot somewhere, and then just hopefully by this point they'll be automated, but put them in a lot and just have them cycle people to and from the beach. But the cool thing with that is that you're gonna, if it's automated especially, you're gonna reduce for that leg anyway, you can reduce the pollution, because you'll have electric cars on solar running to and from the beach rather than whatever Texas cars are running to and from the beach. It's kind of a silver lining, I guess, but we'll see what happens with that. Then, for our friends like Eddie and others, the Chevy Bolt recall that was expanded on last week's show has been expanded again. Every car that bears the name Bolt, no matter the model year, has been included in the recall worldwide. So not even just the Bolt, but also the clones, or the sisters, or however you want to call them, the ones that were sold like under Opel or whoever. So the situation with that is they trace the problem to two separate manufacturing defects that could occur simultaneously. You can have a torn anode tab, or you can have a folded separator. And defects in a battery can release all the energy in the battery, and batteries having an uncontrolled release of energy, just like any stored energy, like say gasoline, if it happens too quickly, it leads to fire. And that's what was happening with the cars that were igniting. At the time, Eddie had told us that on his car it was too new for the initial recall, and so when they expanded it, they said that they were going to inspect his battery. I don't know how a Ford technician at the local dealer, or a GM technician at the local Chevy store is going to be able to inspect these battery pouches to see if they have a torn anode or separator. And unless they just have like specific batch numbers they're looking for or something, I don't know how they're going to get away with just not replacing every single battery that's out there. Well, I was going to say looking at like date codes or something, but if they do that, then they should have already resolved it so that the 2022s wouldn't be included, and they are. So I think this is going to be just as bad for LG as it was with the Kia Kona and the Niro EV recall, because that was every one that they produced ended up getting recalled and having a new battery put in it, and that's significant. So if you have a Bolt, get in touch with your dealership, figure out what the plan is from GM. If you want them to buy it back, you can call your Chevy Bolt advisor, and they've got a process for it that they'll walk you through. Hey, there's Dan. Yeah, so be careful. If you have a car that's under the recall but you haven't taken it in yet for this latest expansion, please park it away from the house and don't charge it when you can't keep an eye on it, as far as like at night next to the garage, for instance. And then also you want to keep it to, I believe they said 80% maximum and 20% minimum. So just use your due diligence with it. What's up, Marcus?
Hey, can you see me?
I can't see you. I see a black square.
I tell you what, I think I'm having a problem with this laptop. Give me 1 second. I'm going to come right back, okay? I got to do one
Okay,
thing.
fair
All
enough.
right.
All right, so we were talking about the Bolt recall, and now that Marcus is here, we can play his video. Well, when he gets back again. Amazon delivery. They're operating my garage door. Another bolt recall. I guess I included a couple of them to make sure that that if one of them went down, I could still get you guys the message. So next up is this one's a video by Tom Scott, and let me put it in the chat here. You can watch this later. And why I brought it up is that he came up across an island that has too much power, and it's because it's a small island, it's windswept, and not only does the utility keep installing windmills or wind farms, so do private households. And so the problem with that is normally you would just export the power elsewhere, but the connection they have back to the mainland is too small for the amount of power they have. So one solution they've come up with is turning it into hydrogen. Which normally I'm not a fan of hydrogen as far as, I feel that the energy would be better used in a battery pack. But this hydrogen is not coming from methane, so that's a plus. It's literally electrolysis. They're just basically wasting all their extra electricity. And so now at this point, you can actually have clean hydrogen. You can ship it around the world. You can use it on airplanes, on ships, etc. And thank you, of course. And I was watching, I think it was Physics Girl. She was talking up the Toyota Mirai and using hydrogen, and she brought up that it's not a good thing to be taking it from methane because that's still a fossil fuel situation, and this gets around that. But I still think it would be better to expand their connection back to the mainland and export it there, so they can shut down some coal plants. And they also agree, but it's running undersea cables is super expensive, and so what they need is the utility and all the individual households need to figure out how much power they want. They actually need to install a significant amount of them, even if they're going to idle them, and then they can justify building a conduit that can handle all their power and then a little bit extra, a little bit of buffer. But I understand the difficulty because we're talking billions of dollars to run this cable, and they want to make sure it's going to be utilized. But it was an interesting short video from Tom if you want to check it out. And then, sorry, I'm getting a phone call now. I'll call it back. Right, so another fun one was Ford is kicking up their Mach-E deliveries for the GT. So if you were in line for that, like our friend Sergio, maybe yours will be coming sooner. This is the one I actually like because the nose cone is a different color, and for me, I felt that the body colored nose cone looked like Neo in the Matrix when his mouth was closed up in the beginning. And let's see what I forgot the date they said. Yes, this one is 0-60 and 3.5, so it's respectable. I still think it's a little slow, but the price isn't too bad for the performance you get. 59 to 66. We see you now. Yeah, we were just talking about Sergio. Looks like he might be getting his car a little bit early.
Okay. Nice.
Yes. All right, so let's see here. Let's close this one. And let's pull up your video. I'm going to go ahead and mute it just because.
Yeah. He said it was good, though.
It is good?
That. He said that's him. That's his.
Okay.
Oh, this is stuff.
All right. Let's share it with audio then.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
There we go. That's over on
those
your
wheels.
channel.
Those wheels are from the White Ghost. That's from my white car. That's
okay. So you took them off the other car.
Yeah, now you saw the wheels. That's for that guy. I'm waiting on the tires to get in.
I was going to say, I didn't think you had them on.
No. I'm waiting. Actually, man, because the car's so new, I'm waiting on the TPS sensors because they use
yes.
Bluetooth now.
Yeah, they changed them.
So the guys at the service center been trying to get me on speed order, man. Like I say, a new car, man. Like it took too long to get the car. I can imagine on the part. The text was saying it too, man. They're gonna try to get it as soon as they can for me, though. So I'm waiting on the stencil.
Definitely. All right, so in the chat, I'm putting a link to Marcus's channel, so you can check that out later as well. And
I heard you talking earlier about the truck, about the Ford situation.
yeah,
Yeah. Me and my guy was just talking about that. Put out the yeah.
put it
Because
out
I ain't
before you
gonna lie.
make the new one.
Because my situation, once we start doing the trailer, man, to my Cybertruck get here, I'm gonna, I prefer if I just buy a pickup truck, it could be electric. I prefer doing that than buying a
Yeah,
ICE truck.
exactly.
But you got to get it out here though. So
Yeah. So this one is coming from Clean Technica. They had an article or op-ed opinion piece about the IEEE report on autopilot systems, and Jonna noticed that that the report is gone, and all the links to it actually go to something entirely unrelated about robots, but not about the Tesla safety that it was originally set to, and she's wondering if there's something nefarious going on with that because some people don't know that their papers are now linking to somewhere else, and others do know, but they didn't do a retraction, and she's curious if there's something underhanded going on. And it was an interesting read. But we're seeing lately another push against autopilot, and in fact, let me just pull that article up now. Uh-oh. There we go. Sorry, my screen froze for a second. Let me check my phone. I actually put this in on the phone. I'm not seeing it in my document. But I'll tell you what it was. Basically, another car allegedly on autopilot crashed into a police car. The police car was empty as the officer was out. No, they're synced up.
I missed that one. Oh.
Yeah, and so folks are now once again on the whole "you can't name it autopilot" bandwagon. No Tesla owner is under any, other than the backseat bandit in California, no Tesla owner is under any persuasion that this car is fully self-driving because it's called autopilot. In the 50s, when Chrysler called theirs autopilot, they didn't stop calling cruise control autopilot because of any misunderstanding of what it was. They stopped calling it that because it got Kleenexed, and GM had actually came up with cruise control, and that's what people knew how to call speed control. In fact, some people called theirs speed control, and every automaker basically, some of them still call it something else, but they all say cruise now because that's what people understand. And so it wasn't that Chrysler was bowing to pressure of people not understanding what autopilot was, because
Right.
when cruise control was invented, autopilot literally just held the plane level and on a heading. It didn't do anything more. There was no such thing as a plane that could land itself back then. At least not in commercial use anyway. And so this whole thing about, people are confused, and you turn it on, before you even, when you activate the feature, period, you get a lengthy screen to scroll through, and then you got to accept it. And then every time you turn on the feature, please hold the wheel, or in Marcus's case, hold the yoke. And I don't understand how these people are. Well, I know exactly how they're claiming to be confused on purpose because they have other motives.
Well, I'm gonna be honest, because like I was using the other before I went in the shop. I was doing it. I went to Dallas at the time that weekend.
Yeah.
I was I wasn't doing what I was supposed the wheel, cause I was eating. I think I was eating, and I only did for a slight time. And they put me, we call it autopilot jail. Where you have to.
Yes.
I'm like, but the other people are doing this reckless stuff, and I'm doing the way it's supposed to be used for. But
exactly. There we go. Let's see if Stephanie comes in. And so the autopilot jail is kind of fun. Who got put in there the other day? Tiffany got put into autopilot jail.
Yeah.
I responded with a gif of you go to jail with a Monopoly card, said go straight to jail. And the guy behind bars. So if you don't respond to the attention checks, if you don't respond to the attention checks, if you don't if you don't keep the speed below 90 miles an hour, if you run a red light, any number of things will make the car drop you into autopilot jail, and it will stop driving, and it'll be on you. And the run the red light thing, I didn't actually run a red light. The car just thought I did. It was yellow.
Yeah.
And then it was a long yellow, and so I went through it, and
Yes.
it thought it was red.
Yes.
I got the red hands, the steering released. I was like, oh my goodness, thank goodness I'm holding this wheel.
It yanked me like, oh no, it's not red.
Yes.
But the trick to that, well, sometimes, if you're traveling, you don't want to pull over, just pull over, turn the car off and get back, put in park.
That's right.
And, like, turn it off and turn it back on and open the door somewhere.
Absolutely. Good morning, Steph.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing pretty well.
Hey, don't you stop. Don't you stop. Don't make me laugh now. Hey, Stephanie.
How are you guys?
Doing pretty well.
Great. How about yourself?
Good. Just finished working out and.
Oh, there you go.
Early Sunday morning.
Yeah. So we were talking about a device earlier to help with the air quality for you guys. It's a box made of air filters, and then you put a box fan on top of it. Like $25 of material and tape.
No
I may have to pull the picture up again.
And I have the Dyson air purifiers, and they work really well. So
They do.
They're a little bit more than $25. So
they are.
But they work really well. I have them in all the rooms, actually.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Yeah, well, my son has asthma, so the air quality, because of the fires in Northern California and here, you need them. So it's worth it.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's why service, I know that.
Yes, they do a great job. The thing I was looking at there is a lot of parents can't afford to donate a Dyson to their school, and so we were showing them another option.
Yeah, get on that, Marcus. Some community engagement. Get on that.
Right, donate some. All right, so the next thing that's coming up is allegedly Tesla is filing a permission to sell a 400-mile Model Y in China. I say allegedly because, one, we don't know exactly what they filed for, and two, it's probably 400 miles on the test that China uses rather than the one that we use elsewhere, like in the States or in Europe. So it will, if they went for the max, it will be 400 miles on that cycle. So you're going to put your car on the treadmill, on a dynamometer, in a perfectly environmentally controlled lab. I mean, if you take it out on the street and try to do that, it's not going to go so well. Dude!
Hey, good morning, everyone.
How you doing?
Doing all right. Hope everyone's doing okay.
Doing pretty well. So we're talking about a 400-mile Model Y in China, allegedly.
Allegedly. I did see that article.
What do y'all think about that?
I'm in a few minutes late, but did they talk about what type of battery chemistry they're going to be using to do this? I didn't read that article.
No.
Kind of important.
I saw somebody mention it, but I can't. It was late, and I was up late. I was half watching it. It was like real late. I was messing with his YouTube.
If they,
it was some kind of, I forgot the name of it off the top, but they were saying from the way the guy was kind of breaking it down, it's going to be able to be where you can charge at 100% without putting a strain on your battery. Like it's not to always constantly, charge 100.
That's a different one. So
Oh, okay.
the Model 3 Standard Range Plus in the U.S. is now shipping with the lithium iron phosphate batteries instead of
Okay, that's what it was.
yeah.
Okay.
And so Elon was explaining to Twitter that those batteries like to be at 100%. So you don't have to, even though they have like 5 or 10 miles less range, it's all usable.
Okay.
So the difference between the lithium ion nickel metal, the nickel lithium ions versus the iron ones is that the usable range is going to be the same because the nickel one wants to be kept at nickel manganese is the word I was looking for. The nickel one likes to be kept at 90% for full charge, and the iron likes to be at 100%. So you've still got the same usable range out of both cars. Also, folks are finding that the iron ones actually charge faster on the superchargers too. So, yeah.
That's what that was. Like I said, it was late night, man. It was like, then the Benadryl had started kicking in. I was trying to miss it. I was all over the place. Had the laptop out, so I was looking at different articles, man. So, my bad on that one.
Absolutely.
Well,
good morning, Twa.
Hi. I mean, I'm excited if that comes to the U.S. because 400-mile range I think would be good, not only for people that are switching over to EV and have range anxiety, but I think it's also good if you think about like just accessibility and the people that won't have charging at home. If you consider, okay, I can go an entire week or however long on 400 miles, and then I only have to go to a charger, on Saturday mornings or something like that. I think it could increase like just the accessibility for people that might not be able to just plug it in at night at home. So I think it could be huge. Like if it comes to the U.S. I mean, I would love to have that kind of range and never really have to worry about getting low.
Yeah, and then there's a precedent for this because now Lucid is claiming that they've got a 500-mile car landing in the U.S. They haven't actually delivered any yet, but our friend Elon Musk is a little bit petty, so he's not going to let somebody just beat him unnecessarily, and so we suspect that something will become of this, and I'm curious to see how they implement it. Yep, so that's the 400-mile range Model Y in China. And so this one was super fun to me. I hope you guys saw it as well. Sandy Monroe had a chance to drive the Ford Blue Cruise with with one of the engineers, and it didn't go the way that Ford thought that it would. They were really proud to show him this, and he tore it to shreds.
Oh yeah, Sandy gonna tell it like it is, man.
he said it works, but why is he having to hold the wheel in a turn? Why he didn't even the only thing he said comparing them directly to Tesla was that it took him too long to figure out how to turn off the leave the passing lane function, and so he asked if the Ford will kick him out of the passing lane, and the guy said no, and he said, oh, that's good. And so then the guy said, all right, you're coming to a turn, you need to hold the wheel. And Sandy said, why? Okay. Because this Ford system is watching your face. So literally they don't want your hands on the wheel, except apparently in a turn and in a congestion zone. And a number of other places he was told to hold the wheel. And you could see the frustration on his face. And so then he said, all right, so we're approaching our exit. Is the car going to get me in the right lane? Is it going to exit the highway? And the guy said, no, that's all you. It's all manual. You can tell by the way that he was so polite about it, but like, oh well, I don't have to do this in the Tesla. He didn't say that, but you could tell by his responses that that's exactly what he was getting at. And so then later on, he also had a rant at the government for their trying to tear apart the autopilot with all these extra inspections and stuff that aren't necessarily there. So I've included a link in the chat to Sandy's ride along on the Ford Blue Cruise. I got a kick out of that. Did anybody else see it?
Now I got to check that one out. I missed that one though. I can imagine though.
It was awesome.
That one is in my list, and I didn't get to it in time, but I have heard that he really cut them open on that Blue Cruise.
Oh yes, the one where he's talking about the government inspecting autopilot is a little bit of there's some language that's bleeped, and there's a lot of language that's unbeeped. So if you're watching it with children, just be mindful of that. But he's speaking with heart, and I like where he's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to point out, as far as those investigations, I did listen to Rob Maurer talk a little bit about the investigations. I don't know if you're going to get into that later.
Yes.
But he just pointed out, it is a newer technology, and and whenever we hear the word investigation, we automatically think, well, something bad happened. But part of investigation is also just to learn about what's happening, because this is what's going to be in the future. And so since Tesla is on the cutting edge, we need to know what the heck is going on.
Right. And we've seen from every previous investigation that they come out, hey, everything is according to design. The driver should have been paying attention. Hey, why was this dude in the back seat? So we took him to jail. Any number of things like that, rather than the folks advocating it, like Senator Markey, who I'm still inviting on a ride-along in my car in your house in Massachusetts or your office in D.C. You've got a car, you can try it out, stop being afraid of it, learn how it works before you're trying to legislate something, sir. Anyway, let's get on to Xpeng. And Xpeng, they are shipping their P7 sedan that's been on sale for a few months now in China. It's available in Norway, so they can take advantage of those EV credits in Norway. And I don't know necessarily if it's actually credits or if it's just an exemption from their massive sales tax. Their sales tax is something like 300% on cars. It's woo. So all electric cars imported, they don't have to suffer from that same situation. It's a beautiful car. It's very well featured. And we know that they've got a solid autopilot because, well, allegedly they stole it from Tesla. So.
Wait a minute. Go back. There's a how much tax on, are these in-house cars that are being made for electric?
One more time?
Are these in-house cars being made for electric?
Yeah, Norway just charges extra for cars, and they don't if it's electric right now.
Right.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I think it's an attractive car. It's from Richard Bills and a couple other people had a chance to test one out, and other than everything being in Chinese writing, so I didn't know what anything said. Apparently, neither did Rich.
I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks really. It looks like It kind of like a
Model S for some reason.
Right.
I ain't gonna say that now.
A little bit like the Model S and the Lucid got copied down in somebody else's design scheme, but I do like the way they executed it. Yeah.
I like it. I will rock it.
Yep. So we got another.
Is everything been plaid yet?
No, they're not doing plaid yet. They might have somebody scrutinizing their brakes if they do that. That's a call out to when that lady had Tesla under fire for the brakes. Which turned out to be fraudulent. She apologized. So our friends at Mazda have finally announced their first EV. And Inside EV said that the range will surely disappoint. It's a little foreshadowing. I forgot already. It was low. It was super low. Let's do Control F miles. 100 miles.
Come on, Mazda.
Man, my scooter, my little battery scooter can do more range there just riding around on the track.
Yes.
Come on now.
If this had come out 5 years ago, I would say, hey, good start.
Yeah.
Way to go, guys.
No.
But you're coming into 2022 model year. You need to be able to do 200 miles on your top trim.
250 at least. I mean,
Right.
Yes.
Right. I mean, every car doesn't need to be able to do 250, but you need to sell one that does 250.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I'll say 225, 230. I mean, you may have somebody do at least,
right.
but 100, nah.
Right. So with 100, you're
all
looking
over the state with my Tesla that only does 200 on my Model X,
right.
And I get around, but 100 is just.
Right, we're talking 2010 Nissan Leaf here at 100 miles, and the 2010 Nissan Leaf didn't even actually do 100 miles.
So then, how much will it cost Mazda, and how many of them do they need to make so they don't have to buy ZEV credits from Tesla? Is that the whole point here? Is it just cheaper to make these?
A little bit of that. And then this is what I was talking about on the different tests. So they can get 124 miles if they use the WLTP, which is the European test. Right. But still, the Europeans know that nobody can actually achieve their test scores unless they're testing, but nobody's testing on their way to actually run their errands and go to work and take their kids to school and buy groceries. So it has a top speed of 87 miles an hour, which is fine. You don't actually need to be going too much faster than that, except that in Texas, if you're doing 5 over the 85 mile an hour speed limit, that's 90. So you can only do 2 over the 85 mile an hour speed limit, which means you're going to get run over. It's got a 35.5 kilowatt hour battery, and for some reason, it's front wheel drive.
Okay, but I will just say that depending on the tax rebates for this could be like a free car that gets an ICE off the street, and not everybody. I mean, we're just talking about a 400 mile range Model Y, but I feel like you need options for everyone. I've had my Y for 3 weeks now, and I have 152 miles on it. So it came with 18. So clearly not everyone needs, I was on vacation a little bit, but not everybody needs like a super long range car. And if this can come to market at a price that's damn near free after the rebates, I mean, bring it on. Like I'm happy for it. Like there should be options for everybody, because not everybody is gonna. If you work 10 miles away from your job, and that keeps a ICE off the street, like, and you do have a short commute, this could be a cool like kick around town, go to work commuter car. So,
right. Robert says he walks more than that, and it's true, he does.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I have more miles on my bike in the last 3 weeks than I have on my car. But I think it could be good. Like, in 18,000, if the consumer rebate comes back, that's damn near a free car.
18. Yeah. Wait, I'm looking at this price here. It's saying 27,000.
It's 27,145 after the existing tax credits. Correct.
So your point is well taken, Stephanie. But it's still going to be a push to get someone to spend almost 30 grand on a 100-mile car.
Because I can spend 9 on a Nissan Leaf and then buy a new battery for it.
Okay, I think that it was way less. I thought it was
maybe if you use the new tax credit, but that's not finalized yet.
But even a new tax credit still won't get you to 18.
Oh, well then
you still only got.
If it's 18.
Yeah, if it was 18, that's not a bad deal.
But it's not.
Yeah, right.
It's not.
That's 30.
Disregard everything I said. It's trash.
You had a good point, though. Hey, I was with you there, though. I was looking at some numbers. I was like, I like it. Sound good. You got a good point, but for that point, 18, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. This might be a solid car to buy off lease after whoever's meter maid service gets done with it, and then you can pick it up for a song. But like I said, you can buy a thoroughly used Nissan Leaf with a battery that's got a 50-mile range, replace that battery, and still come out with money in your pocket for 27 grand.
You also thought it was 18,000 too.
Oh, I mean, I would be all over it if it was 18, but it's not. And then you got to pay for paint.
What's the free color?
That is a good question. What is the free color? Not that red, I guarantee you. The red's a grand.
Prime.
Primer. Maybe.
You know, get basic white.
Whatever was left over at the factory that day.
Okay, so real quick, I'm gonna
free color.
I think that this is a late play. We're still in the Hyundai, right? I think this is a very
The
late
Mazda.
play. Mazda, sorry.
Because the Hyundai is already at 200 miles. So.
I really think for
yeah,
Hyundai,
you can get a Hyundai for less money with the tax credit.
Yeah, I really think the Hyundai is a very late thing because, and I agree with you, Seth, but nobody in their right mind thinks that EV, that range anxiety is going to kill the Mazda. You have to come at 250 or better. You cannot go below 250 whatsoever. The Leaf at 50 miles has already crippled that market to.
Right, I mean, because even the new Leaf today is over that. So it's
yeah, and people still under the mindset of Fiat, and the old school Leafs are the only ones that do under 50, and that's still in the mindset of people when they don't get range or they're
under 50 is when they're about ready to be retired too. Because remember, new they're 75 to 125 depending on how you drive. Yeah, and
that's completely the same thing. You now in today's age, you cannot be below 100 at minimum because you're already having to fight. It makes it hard for us for the adoption of EVs because gas is everywhere, and you need that 400 for those range anxieties.
Especially once winter sets in, because when winter sets in, you could lose up to 50% of your range depending on where you live and how you drive. So that would mean you're looking at a 50-mile car if you've still got maximum availability of your battery. If you lose 10%, then that's 50% of 90. You got a 45-mile car.
Good point. Especially, good point.
So, Omar sent us this. He's in class right now, but he sent us this article about older Teslas are going to get a UI performance boost thanks to a famed video game engineer. So basically, what they're going to do is John Carmack has helped them optimize the way that the interface is loaded and all the resources are handled, and that's a good thing to see. Fred owns a 2012 Model S. Omar used to own a 2013 Model S. I had a 2016 with the same computer, so it was starting to slow down. And I seriously considered buying the upgrade, but it wasn't available before I got rid of the car. So it did eventually get the upgrade, but I didn't do it. Marcus, you've got this MCU one as well, don't you?
Which one is it? The MCU one?
On your old car, you got the MCU one, right?
Is that the one with the 3G?
Yeah.
No, my guy, before I bought it was upgraded everything.
I mean, you put LTE in it, but it's still it's not the one that plays games and stuff, right?
No, it wasn't that one.
You got Netflix?
Right.
Nah. But I do now, though.
You do now. Not only does he have Netflix, he also has Netflix in the backseat.
Yeah.
So that one's only for MCU 1.
Right, but they can take what they learned on MCU 1 and bring it forward. So I imagine
I have a 2016 and I did upgrade to MCU 2.
Yeah.
But I still don't have my Disney and car wash mode yet.
I just got mine. I don't know that we're going to be getting car wash mode because mine didn't offer it anywhere. But I did get Disney.
Well,
you see, what it is on the older cars, the pre-refresh S and X, the car can't roll its own windows back up for some reason, even though they could plug a laptop in and say, roll the windows up, and it will do it. It can vent them, it can lower them a little bit, and we knew they knew how to do it because the sunroof on Marcus's car, the sunroof will go all the way back and all the way up on its own control. Like you can have it wide open, you forget, I forgot I left my roof open. You go to the app, hit close, it'll go from 100% to fully closed, or you can go to vent, like if it's just misting and he doesn't want to close it.
Take a video of that. I want to see that. The whole roof goes open.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Yeah. I wasn't making videos, I would have done it.
Kacey, quick question about that. I'm gonna ask you because I know you be on it pretty well. What was the reason why they stopped the use thing? I heard different pieces. I just want to hear your opinion.
Why they stopped putting in the sunroof?
The roof, yes.
It was not going their way. It was easy to break. There was a lot of maintenance, and
that's true. I can see that.
And it was a pain to install too. So like mine actually got 3 new sunroof parts and then almost got a new sunroof glass. So the roof of my car was replaced a couple times.
Yeah. When I first got it, I had a problem with if it rained good, if I washed the car, you can see the pillar on the passenger side was getting wet. So
yeah, mine would pee cold rainwater in my wife's lap.
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't appreciate that, and I think that's when the service manager, like I told you, this guy is like, when she speaks, she gets what she wants, and I think it was that's when it started. It was like literally she's like, hey, it's cold, it's in the middle of winter, it rained, and now I've got 30-degree water in my lap. What are we gonna do about this?
And I heard some people saying too, a lot of people weren't using it though. A lot of people don't use it.
Well, because when it breaks on you all the time, you don't want to use it.
But
on those 3 days a year in South Carolina where I could use it without it being too hot, too humid, or too cold, it was nice. Just bumping my music, just rolling down the road.
Speaking of updates, I missed you guys in happy hour. It went off on me because I still don't have the new Tesla update to my phone.
Oh,
I
don't have it on my Android either. So what they're talking about, huh?
I don't have it either.
Okay, so what they're talking about is they updated the app for the Tesla cars and solar roof and batteries. For the iPhone, they're a little more slick. I like it. I loaded it up on my iPad, and I think it no longer looks like trash. And by that I mean, if you've ever loaded a phone app on the iPad and get that 2x zoom thing, and it just looks terrible, and you get the old keyboard, yeah. So it's more tablet aware, and it looks great. And it still doesn't do full screen, but that's fine. Oh, you got it too. There you go.
Hey, Sim, we got it. Let me check right now.
Oh, you're checking that? Go to the App Store to do your updates. So this video is from Shanghai. It's from the Tesla team. Somebody re-uploaded it. I muted the audio because their music is an unknown source. So they give us an overview of manufacturing. We just saw the flyby of the lot. Here's the die presses, the robots that run them. Look how tight they are as far as, like, they're moving before the die is fully closed or opened. They got the giga presses. So there's the whole rear of the car is done in one piece. There's battery assembly. Drivetrain assembly. The motors. Battery welding. Building a motor right here. There it is. And this was on their Weibo. So this is the advanced paint plant that they have at Giga Shanghai, but Giga Berlin and Giga Texas are going to have even more advanced paint shop. I mean, it looks like CGI. It's yeah. Until you see the people,
was I supposed to notice how long it went before they showed a human doing anything?
Yes, I think that was part of their point. There's the mating of the driveline. Seats, roof, and see, this is why the roof is all glass, because you can put half the car in through the roof.
So it's a two-piece, huh?
Yeah. There's a training of the autopilot for the first time. And so you notice the first thing they actually install into the car is the computer. There's a reason for that. The computer stores the stats of torque from every single screw and bolt in the car, and I just think it's a marvel the way that they do the Model 3 and Model Y, and soon the Model S and Model X. I think that we probably won't see the Model S go fully this way until Giga Texas is up and running and can take some of the load off Fremont to do Model Y and then eventually Model 3, so they can actually refurbish that plant, because it's old. It's from what, the 60s?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is just, I was looking at that, and when people say that they're worried about the manufacturing of parts and putting the actual car together, there are so many machines that have to go into the concept of making that, there's no way you cannot find another job for a person. Like, all
Right.
I see is stuff breaking. So you have to fix the actual little lever that takes the whole car up in the air. There's so much mechanical in that robotic system, which is a Model T Ford thing for assembly line. I think Elon likes Ford more than everybody thinks. But to see that many machines to be working in an automated fashion, that's as many machines, and you need as many people to start fixing it. So I don't get the concept behind we don't have enough things to build. So it completely fascinates me. When I saw that, I was like, there's your there's your workforce right there, working alongside a machine. It's weird to
I
see that.
see.
It's
I
very
see
fascinating.
Tesla getting it to the point where I said this before. You get on your phone, you order a car, the machines make it, and it drives itself to your house.
Yep.
No person is involved in it.
Well, especially when that Tesla bot comes online.
Now, if it can drive back to the service center when something's wrong and drive another loaner to you, it's all over.
Well, it depends on what's wrong with it.
That's true. That's true. So here's a little tidbit that I thought was interesting and wanted to share with you all. So Ben GT is reporting on Russell's reporting, where they noticed that the first 6 months in the U.S., the ID4, Taycan, and E-Tron are all selling at the same rate. So either they're doing particularly poorly, that they're keeping up with the $100,000 car, or it's doing about the same as the inexpensive cars and is really good on them, which is really cool. I mean, because the e-tron and the Porsche, they're not cheap cars. The Kia Niro looks like we can see now why they're already getting ready to do their next version of it. It's just at 2,800.
Real quick on that, the Audi E-Tron,
Mm-hmm.
that Q4 I think might be the most affordable version. Because I was looking at it, I was like, this looks nice, as Audi should in the customer service. But that Q4, the cheaper version of that Audi,
The e-tron
might be the
Q4?
best. Yes.
Hmm.
There's another model that's going to be around $30K with the tax credit. That's more feasible, especially if it gets to used market.
Oh, that one,
That's
the e-tron VW ID4.
No. There's an
Yes.
there's
So
Audi
it's a
E-Tron.
it's an ID4 with the Audi badge on it.
Did they rename it?
No, they didn't rename it. They did the same thing the same way that this Audi e-tron here is the same as the Porsche here. These are the same car with different skins, like Cadillac and Chevy.
Well, I saw Audi Audi e-tron Q4. I remember seeing that.
Yeah, you
did. I remember seeing two different.
Yeah, so
Audis.
that's the same situation. Audi's taking the other Volkswagen and flipping it around. But then the thing that surprised me was how poorly they are all selling compared to the Nissan Leaf. Everybody poo-poos on the Nissan Leaf all day long, and it's still steady pulling along at 8,000 units.
I'm looking at Nissan Leaf right now, a 22 model year Leaf, 40 kilowatt hour battery now, is starting at 27,000, and then when you throw in all of the
tax credits,
incentives, it's down to 20.
Nice.
So
nice.
That might have something to do with it.
Has anybody seen the new Leaf? The new Leaf looks nothing like the old Leaf.
The new Leaf looks good.
The new isn't that bad.
It's a skin job though. The underneath, even the compromises they made to the cargo the cargo area are the same, but it doesn't have the bug eyes, and the taillights actually look decent. So, like, when I point it out to my wife, she doesn't grimace anymore. But if I point out the old one to her, she's visibly doesn't like it.
The Leaf finally adopted its Tesla model, make it look attractive. Because when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It made it look weird for what reason? Yeah.
Yeah. The 62 kilowatt hour batteries is you can get it for as low as 30,000 new.
That's not bad.
So yeah,
because 60 in a Tesla was 208 miles, and the Leaf is smaller and still pretty aerodynamic. So nice.
I know what it is. It's like a Extreme Makeover car edition.
Pretty much. And it didn't cost them as much as it would have to totally redo the car, because it wasn't a bad car. The only thing that people disagree with on the new one is that you can only fast charge it once a day. Well, you can fast charge it more than once a day, but it's only going to give you a fast charge once a day. That's just for them to protect the battery pack.
How does it do that? Does it have like a timer on it, or just go by?
It knows what time it is. Yeah. And that was just because they still didn't implement any sort of cooling on the battery. They just made it heat resistant, which is one way to do it. But we noticed that with the Nissan Ariya, a couple of our friends have seen it driving around the country. They went with both liquid cooling and CCS charging. So they're learning. I just imagine they don't have a lot of money to play with the new cars, because Nissan has typically had really long model years, or model cycles, I should say. The other thing I noticed was that the Ford Mustang Mach-E is being thoroughly outsold by the Bolt. What's up, Omar?
But everybody wants the Mustang, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I have a question on these the personalized plates.
Dawood, get your headphones.
Does everyone here have personalized plates?
Personalized plates? I don't.
Oh, okay. Jawad, do you have personalized plates?
I do not.
Okay. Omar, do you?
I do. I do have personalized plates.
Marcus, do you?
I'm sorry. What was the question?
Do you have personalized plates?
I do.
Nice.
They they'll be here. I don't know, couple more days, I think. But yes, I do. I was trying to find it real quick. It's on my Instagram, but yeah, I do.
EV smoke, baby.
Okay, nice.
And then it said sex is tough.
Sex is tough. So demonology, you can probably line up against EV smoke at some point.
Hey, that's the man right there. That's the man right there. Y'all gotta check him out. He's
absolutely. Yeah. So I pointed out that the Mustang Mach-E was being outsold by the Chevy Bolt. And I find that interesting, because I would think that the Mach-E would be the more desirable vehicle over the Bolt. I don't know if it's a price difference or just availability, but that surprised me to see it. You know, basically in between the Mach-E and the Bolt is you could also fit all the Nissan Leafs.
I think that's I think it's a production issue.
Okay.
And
that makes sense.
I think Ford just doesn't have the battery capacity.
Right, because they don't make their own. Yeah.
Right.
Only General Motors and Tesla and Nissan and Volkswagen make their own batteries.
Right. So I think that's going to be the same problem that Ford is going to have with the Lightning.
Yeah. A little preview. Hopefully they get their contracts in order. Contracts and then worldwide supply.
Yep. Well, they can have all the contracts they want, but if the capacity isn't there from their supplier,
right? That's what I mean. Get the contract, and then the supplier actually be able to fill it.
Right. That part.
Yeah. So the other thing to point out is Elon told us at the shareholder meeting a while ago that the Model Y was going to be their best-selling car, and he's never brought it up again. But look at that. There are, in between the Model 3 and the Model Y, is all the Chevy Bolts. And then some.
Yep.
81,802 for the first 6 months of the year. That's incredible. But I mean, like, literally, a third of this panel drives Model Y. Actually, half if you count Dawood's wife.
I'm driving one right now.
Right.
We'll count her.
I thought you were in one, Omar, but their glass roof looks closed.
He got it tinted.
Oh, okay.
Or do you
no,
cover?
I have a cover.
Okay.
For the summertime, I keep a cover on.
All right.
I'll take it off. Madness, baby. All right. So this one was unique to me. CNBC went on a ride in their EVs, and they wanted to check out the charging landscape, and they had some words to say. And basically, they were much more generous to the Tesla network than they were to the one that they had to use.
I mean, is there any shocker there?
No, there is no stalker there. except that they were going out to say how good it was in the car they were in, and then
Actually, that is a little shocking because they were being truthful.
Oh, okay, I'll give you that. So later on, if you want to take a look at their quick video, I put a link in the chat.
Did you guys see Sandy Monroe's rant?
Yes, that was phenomenal.
But real quick to the charging, this is exactly the regardless of what you think about Elon and his eccentric, highly super eccentric mind. He knew this was going to happen. He has systematically, not say predicted, but projected it. He's one of the few people in business who are thinking ahead of the cycles and then pushing his people to make it, even though they don't see the same vision. So seeing this just shows you the brilliance of this very eccentric, sometimes controversial, because he does not filter his words, type of person. It's just amazing because right now they got to be honest about it. And they're like, this is iffy.
Sometimes he does have a filter, but most of the time he is filter free.
Okay,
So
like 5% of the time.
we got a couple of crash tests to look at today, and let's start with the Model 3 and the Cayenne Cap, which is the Korean safety test. First up, we've got the regular car in the wall situation. Does well. And it won't be what you expect that actually cost them the points in Korea on the Model 3. As far as all the passive safety, where it hits stuff, it did just fine. The problem came with the active safety features, where it avoids the situations that it comes across. Dude said my face is in the clouds. It totally is. Let me see what I can do about this. Menu.
So as we're watching this, the more interesting part I see about this, I've watched way too many Mythbusters with them doing impact tests. This is a highly safe environment to be surviving something. It stands testament to. Is this Tesla? Or that?
Yes, it's Tesla.
Okay, so the engineering. Okay, so the engineering of these cars with that battery pack absorbing the underside carriage, it's going to start showing people the importance of the actual safety measures. Because I've watched how cars can get tore into, watching way too many Mythbusters episodes. So to see these impacts are fascinating.
Well, the side impact tester is very impressive to me.
Yeah, it was very little.
Compared to other cars, Teslas are very impressive.
Exactly, it did well in the sausage noodle test here, where they're seeing if a pedestrian will impact the hood or the glass or whatever. Here's where they lost their points. It did fine with the automatic braking for cars, and at the high speed hit a pedestrian.
Oh,
repeatedly.
Damn.
Yeah. I don't know why, because typically it aces this test, so something's different about the way the Korea does it. Because every time the Tesla hit the pedestrian at high speed.
It's like the radars isn't on this plan.
Oh, that's true. It might be the radar-free one.
Yeah.
No, because only the U.S. has a radar-free.
Okay.
And then they did okay with the bicycle, but this bicycle test didn't do them any favors.
Maybe they need to switch to vision only.
Maybe they hit the bicycle every time on the bicycle going across.
But this is only at high speed. At the medium and the low speed, it stopped for it.
Right. Well, except for the bicycle going perpendicular to the path, it hit every time.
Interesting.
Yes. And then so that was the Tesla Model 3, but they weren't the only ones to go through the Cayenne Cap. The Hyundai Ioniq 5 also did it. Let's
How
take a
did they
look
do?
and see. They did okay. A little different than I would expect. They didn't do as well in the passive tests as Tesla did, because Tesla is built for crash tests, and they did better than I expected in the active safety. So that part, I mean, everybody knows how to crash into a wall at this point. It left a lot more pieces behind than I'm used to seeing from these things. But I mean, that doesn't matter. What matters is that the
Yeah, but
occupants
the car
survived.
crumpled. It did its job. It crumpled up.
Exactly.
Airbags went off.
Exactly.
That's to be expected.
That's the important part. Because once the airbags are all going off in a frontal collision like that, the car is usually totaled anyway. So who cares how many pieces you leave behind, as long as nothing's catching fire. It did all right in the side impact, but not anywhere near as good as the Tesla. Look how much intrusion there is into the side door. I mean, look, the back door is open. Like, if you were leaning on it, your head or arm is out. And it didn't do as well on the side pole either. Tesla did way better with a glass roof than they did with metal.
So Tesla was right about using glass roofs.
Right. But as long as you're not leaned up against the back of the back door, this turned out all right for you in a crash. And then they did the seat test. The seat did all right. I think at this point you have to try to make a bad seat, because you can just take one that passed and make the fabric match the car you're trying to put it in, and just keep selling that same seat over and over again. It didn't do so well here. Like, look, the pedestrian's head hit the glass and broke it, and then the roof. And then the sausage test, it doesn't even get up over the hood, so it's gonna maul anybody the smaller that comes across. But I wonder if that's because it's supposed to be sort of a crossover.
It's kind of a crossover SUV,
right?
So that's probably going to happen with anything that size.
So it also hit the high-speed pedestrian, but it didn't hit the low-speed pedestrian every time. Some of these are really hard because the pedestrian's coming out from behind cars and stuff. So, I mean, we'd like to see them get 100% on these. And the good thing is this is software, so everybody can improve their performance on it. This one also did pretty well with the bicyclists going on the same path. And it only clipped the high-speed bicycle instead of all of them for the perpendicular course. So that's why it got a few more points than the Tesla on the electronics. But it's a Korean car, so you would expect them to do well in the Korean test. And let's hope that the Tesla does an update to do better in all tests on theirs. And that's the beauty, is that once they figure it out,
I think with Tesla,
they're going to give it to everybody.
I think with them switching over to Vision,
yeah,
I think that's going to, and with the new algorithms of what they're using with the new AP9 or 10 and whatnot, when they put those new algorithms out, I think they're going to do a lot better.
Absolutely.
And that's the beauty of over-the-air updates and AI.
Exactly. Like, they had that recall in China, and literally it was just a regular software update that was just a little bit early because they had to fix whatever they had to fix. And everybody's like, oh my goodness, Tesla recalls every Chinese car. They didn't come into the building. It didn't cost them anything. They were already going to do a software update.
Right.
The crazy thing about these recalls is there's a event here called Honda Battle of the Bands. Up until the pandemic, it was always happening every year. And every year there were at least 8 to 10 model cars from Honda on recall. And I'm like, it's just natural to see that. I'm like, why are they worried about a Tesla recall of a few thousand cars when there's millions of cars recalled consistently? Like I looked up and I was like, this is several different models. And they're talking about 2 or 3 years worth. How many cars do they sell a year? And each model is a couple of thousand, at least at the minimum 100,000. Jesus Christ. And these are school-age college kids that might have these cars now. So you're thinking about throwing your fresh out of high school kid into a Honda that's going to get recalled. Like, as they say now, make it make sense.
Yeah, I mean, like, you've got most of the BMWs in Asia are subject to 12-volt battery fires that they, I still haven't heard any report that they've resolved. And that's an expensive recall. We're looking at the Chevy Bolt and all the Hyundai EVs with the LG packs. Those were expensive recalls. Those were real traditional recalls where the car has to come to the shop and they have to change parts, put labor and everything. And most of their stock just shrugged it off. Like, oh well, LG didn't do so well with that, but yeah.
Hey, did they do it? for the U.S., do they? I must be missing it. Do they do that for the U.S. as well?
The recall?
Like the crash test, the crash
Oh yeah,
test.
yeah. We got them. Yeah, we got IHS and the NHTSA, I believe, and then Europe has the Euro NCAP.
NT.
Yeah. So next up, the Boring Company is pitching a tunnel for access to Boca Chica during SpaceX launches. I think we touched on this with the Proof Rock. We did. So I'm going to keep on going.
OMG. That'd be awesome. Just saying. And I missed the launch this morning, but it was at 3:30. So
yeah, I watched the recap. That thing was a little early for me. I've watched all but 2 now, and both of them were just actually. No, I think I might have caught that last one because I was up late and I shouldn't have been.
And those little clips that they put, the little promotional clips.
Yeah.
Oh, just hit me in the heart when it's like the Navajo tribe can now get internet lightning fast. And I'm like, you're pulling at my strings right now.
Indeed.
And the little graphics the opening graphic is always just the biggest private part swinging thing that SpaceX can do. The double rocket landing. I'm like.
Well, to get doubles, you need to launch a Falcon Heavy. They haven't done that in a little while.
Right?
Not to mention,
I was there live. That was cool. I enjoyed it. So,
Gavin, can I just go backwards for 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just going back to crash test.
Yeah.
I really, really want to see how that Cybertruck is going to do.
Me too.
Because I'm thinking the Cybertruck is going to obliterate anything it hits.
Well, I mean,
that's going to be interesting to see how that fares.
They've been making cars since 2008, so they ought to know how to pass a crash test by now. So speaking of
I think
crashes,
anybody in the truck would be fine, but I don't know about anybody else.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I would hope they also pass that. I don't know how they're going to do with the pedestrian test, but I think the trucks have a different pedestrian standard to abide by. So Gavin is reporting, this guy who's in the video is reporting that just having a Tesla makes people want to race you. And so here's some Sentry Mode footage, or Tesla cam.
It does.
This guy thinks that he was in a race in his Subaru for some reason. Tesla doesn't. And then human pilot.
Oh.
Yeah, right in the corner of the Tesla. And he says, "Oh, why'd you merge into me?" No. I was holding my lane, dude.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's
And
terrible.
yeah, I can confirm that happens. Sometimes I start it, but I mean, I don't lie if I tell you I don't. But it's fun to take off from green lights. I check to make sure it's safe, and I go. And
It is fun to take off from the side.
yeah, but I'm not out there actually racing people like this. I mean, because that's dangerous.
Especially if you're trying to get over real fast, I beat them to the turning lane.
I do that all the time. It's like you watch the person just do like 5 to 10 under the speed limit the whole time. You get to the red light, you need to be in the other lane. I mean, I can be literally doing 65 by the time I reach the other side of the intersection. So
Right.
I don't want to suffer the 10 miles an hour under anymore. So I don't do 65, and I just get up to the speed limit, and then I go over, and then they're back there. And sometimes they'll do a Honda flyby, like 10 minutes later. Just, look at me, I can drive fast. So yeah, but it's not about driving fast. It's how long did it take you to get up to that speed.
Right.
If you thought this was a race, you lost it. All right. So Paul Foss at Clean Technica thinks that what he's calling the BYD Dolphin will be a game changer. And he had an article on that. And it's not a bad looking car. I don't know how receptive the rest of the world will be to a inexpensive Chinese electric car. I think that if they can pass crash tests, it's typically been a problem for the Chinese exports that aren't coming from international car maker. If you can get past the crash test, I think that at that point, then they can go for the lower price and win some customers. I mean, it doesn't look bad. It's pretty stylish. I mean, obviously you'll need some mirrors in the U.S. Not in Europe, thankfully. And so he goes on to explain why he thinks that the BYD EA1, which he's calling Dolphin because it's a much better name than EA1. It uses iron phosphate, just like the Teslas are using now for the for the lower end trims. What do y'all think of this one?
Yeah, I like it.
I like the look. I
Yeah.
really hope that that the U.S. eventually catches up with the rest of the world and allows cameras instead of side mirrors.
Yes.
Because I mean the technology is there. It's been there,
Right.
and it's been proven enough that I mean I understand why the standard was put in place originally, but we didn't have the quality cameras and screens and everything that we have now.
Exactly. And on top of that, you could just point at Honda and Audi and say, hey, look, they've been doing it for 5 years in Europe now. It works.
Right. Exactly.
Hey, Omar, I can vouch for that because what I've been doing lately since I got my car with the repeater. Like when I'm backing in the garage, it's kind of tight spot because that car's a wider on the farther garage. I fold in my mirrors to practice, try to train myself to try to use the screen from the camera, and it works much well. Just the repeaters, like I'm backing in, it works much well. Then I close the mirrors in just so I can train myself to start using the screen more, and it really works. So I can see that. I don't know why they won't do it, but yeah.
Whenever I back into my garage, I always use my screen. I rarely
ever using the screen.
I'm never looking at the mirrors. I'm always looking at the screen. It's just.
I'll verify the mirrors because sometimes the screen gets to be a low frame rate, but I'm not doing one of these. Oh, you're on mute, Dawood. Let's unmute you here.
Oh, sorry.
He's like, nobody's listening to me. Go ahead. Oh, you just muted yourself. There you go.
Can I be heard now?
Yeah, we hear you.
I can hear you now.
No, the reverse is always with the screen, but I'm still not ready for the repeaters. I try to use them. They just don't seem to be giving me real-time information fast enough.
There's that, and they're so small.
This one, yeah.
So yeah. I'll turn them on when it's raining, but I don't really use the repeaters myself for too much.
Maybe if they redesign the car, put the repeaters over on the left side where you would be looking over for a mirror. I don't know.
Like Audi.
That's the thing. If they were to go with the no mirror design, they would have to put like little screens over on each side, so that
kind of like Aptera did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be fair. I'm gonna try my guy car tomorrow. He has a 18 S, and see, I guess because when they play it's different because it's actually different. Honestly, the repeaters stick out farther. Like
they do.
I don't know if it's just because of the car there or what, but I'm gonna go get his tomorrow and try it out and back in my garage.
Well, it's because your car is a chonker.
Huh?
That's because your car is a chonker.
The hips is wide. The repeaters out there though.
Yeah, she got some wide hips. Yes. So let's see here. The drone DJ pointed out that there's a new submarine drone that's with seafloor mapping so that you can put in wind turbine installations. And like I keep saying, we need to electrify all the things. I mean, to do that, you need more electricity. So why not make it safer and cheaper to put in offshore wind turbines so then you don't have people complaining about how solar looks or how... I'm going to mute you again, Dawood. Unmute yourself when you speak. Having the offshore wind only affects people who are out in the ocean, rather than all the people saying that they don't want windmills in their backyard and how they don't want to look at their neighbor's solar. So
but how many people are out in the middle of the ocean though?
That's what I'm saying. Is there's less people to complain. So this is a good move.
Yeah, offshore wind totally makes sense to me. I think we need more of it.
Yeah, plus you can make them bigger, and they.
So from what
the bigger they are, the more power they can get, and it's usually windy out in the ocean. So.
Am I muted now?
You're not muted now. Yeah.
So from what I understand, one of the biggest issues with U.S. offshore is the cost of building it, because you need
and part of the cost is the surveys and the paperwork.
Right, but also the ships to carry that. We don't have big enough ships to carry the parts out there, and because of the Jones Act, we can't use foreign ships, so it's very, very expensive just to get the parts out there to build a thing.
Absolutely.
But once you're set up, it's great.
Yeah, once you're rolling, you're rolling.
Right, so here we go. I don't know why I have 3 copies of the exact same article from the exact same people, but I do. Diesel killing locomotive of the future runs on solar power. And this is what we've been saying about, semi-trucks and trains for the longest, is electrify them. I mean, they run known routes, and it makes perfect sense to electrify them. There's no reason not to. So Tina Kacey has pointed out that this train is running solely on solar. I don't think it has to be solely solar. You can pick up some power from the rails, but in order to do that, your rails need to all be electrified, which we're not at this point. So we got work to do.
I love the fact that it's solar.
Me too.
I think it's great. I mean, you're electrifying it, and you're using renewable energy, from the sun. I mean, I think it's fantastic.
Absolutely. So then we had our friends at Autoblog get a hand on the VW ID4, and then they decided they would do a luggage test. So can they fit all of their luggage in this crossover? Let's take a look. Looks pretty good to me. Turns out they had to take the cover out to get everything in.
Okay.
At least it comes with the cover.
Right, that part. And then here's the Mustang Mach-E. Their cover is like a flexi fabric, like on the Chevy Volt, the hybrids. So, but I mean that was pretty good for me too, because I could just leave it in place and it would just bulge underneath the stuff, which I thought was it.
There's no stuff under there.
Yeah, I'm wondering about the under trunks. I mean, obviously none of these suitcases fit under the trunk, but these vehicles both have them. So
both of those vehicles have sucky under trunks, so
that's probably why they didn't even try. Yeah.
The Model Y's under trunk is way more useful.
Absolutely. Well, because that's like there's like big enough to hold a fuel tank if they needed to. So the 2022 Porsche Taycan finally adds some features that people have been looking for, such as Android Auto and 65 new colors. Yes. And for I think it was like $30,000, you can bring in your own color.
Bring in your own color. Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so they'll match it.
Yo, that is so beautiful. It matches your shirt, Dwad.
That's what I need. I was
The other
driving
article
back from San Diego. One of those things blew past us.
Oh
I
man.
had to catch up to it. That was not happening. I was like, is that a Taycan? Let's catch up. Oh, no. Nope.
You gotta have a P series catch up. So the previous version of this article actually said the price. This is not the one I loaded, but I want to say it was like $30,000 for the colors. Yep. Oh, and the Android
$30,000 for colors?
No.
for custom colors.
Standard colors that they offer, though.
Yeah, the standard colors are gonna be standard prices.
Oh, okay.
Still a lot for the Taycan. I did try customizing one once, and I closed the configurator. I got upset looking at it. Oh, here's another copy there. Let's see if this one says the price.
I love that pink, though. If I ever got one, I would get it in pink.
I'm sorry. Paint to sample run you $11,430. Opting for plus doubles that to $22,860. So I was off by $10,000.
22,800, so $23,000
For paint.
for colors.
Yes.
No, I'm good.
Right, that part. All right, so another one.
Like you can literally go get your car wrapped
for less,
and just put whatever color you want.
Exactly.
Way less.
And we're talking the good wrap where they do the door jams and everything, so that people don't know it's not paint. Yeah.
Right.
So Green is doing a follow-up on a story that came up earlier, and let me see if I've got that loaded. So they removed it. Okay, good. Somebody saved it. So let's start with Green's update, and then we'll switch over. So basically, this news place got called out so bad they deleted their article. They said that this Tesla Model Y exploded and set the house on fire, and Green got a hold of the video from the crash, from the incident, and here's what he found. Yeah, this looks like a car that exploded, right? Yeah, because it's still recording perfectly. And it just gets closer and closer. So then we see the Green noticed from the same video that the owner was watching this, and or at least the driver was watching this, and then as the flames got bigger, she ran and left the car and plugged in and escaped. I'm guessing that in the panic, because you can't shift the car into drive while it's plugged in, so I guess she didn't realize that she couldn't reverse while plugged in, and so she just ran. Not that I blame her. I mean, fires are scary.
It's better than just sitting there.
Right, that part. Hey, Anders is here. Yeah, so she escaped safely. This is what the flash drive looked like after they recovered it from the glove box.
Really,
and
car? My car's being rude.
Well,
I didn't want to let the
The
paramedics.
black box worked.
the black box
Is that what
worked
I'm
exactly. And
And so she blamed Tesla for this because,
no. The news said the Tesla exploded and set the house on fire.
of course, the news.
Yeah. And
When
then,
the actuality, the fire set the car on fire.
right. So this is what Green found the car at the insurance auction. Normally, cars that explode don't usually put themselves back together. They don't usually only burn in one place. This is
And
an external.
the majority of that damage is all to the front end of the car.
Right.
The battery packs are from wheel to wheel. So if
Right.
it was the car, it wouldn't look anything like that.
Right. And if it exploded, it wouldn't be melty.
And looking at it, it looks like the battery pack never even caught on fire.
All right. Here's the battery pack from this car.
Wow! Come on now, I ain't no
That part.
I ain't no investigator, but come on now.
So for a battery that exploded, it is looking surprisingly in good shape. It's not even singed.
It like it has some impact to the front. I mean, I'm just like some kind of impact.
That's probably when they were dragging it onto the tow truck because
Okay.
once it's totaled, who cares?
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
it was so bad they didn't issue a correction. They just deleted their article.
Wow.
Yeah. And then Tesla Oracle had archived a copy, thankfully.
I mean, that the rant that Sandy Monroe had when he went on his rant. He's like, look, there's over 200,000 gas vehicle fires per year. And nobody blinks in the media about that.
Right.
Over 200 and something people die a year in gas and in vehicle fires. Nobody bats an eye.
It literally happens so much it's no longer news.
That part. It
I
happens
like
so
how she tried to save her car though. She went for it.
Right. So they when I loaded this article, it still had the link to the so here's some pictures that they saved from the original article before it was deleted. Look at where the flames are. The flames are not near where the car was. Here's the car. Here's the flames. This pile of garbage or the house itself set on fire and then set the car on fire. That's what happened.
That's all. There you go, right there.
I mean, bad things happen. You could say Tesla catches on fire in house fire and still put Tesla in it and get your free clicks. But you don't gotta lie. I mean, you're in the point of news. I agree, Anders. Like so sour they just deleted the article. But they could have issued a correction. They could have issued a whole new article and then said, "Hey, a previous version of this article was incorrect." Blah blah blah. No, they just took the lame way out.
Right. Instead of setting the record straight, they just deleted it. So anybody who saw the first article before they deleted it would still be thinking that that was true. Right. They're just like, oh, I just can't find the article again. I know I saw it. Yep. You know, and they're thinking that, and instead, I wish they would have actually did a correction or did a whole nother article and said, listen, the previous article that we had, you know, had the information incorrect. This is the correct information.
Yeah, especially since the article was from May. So it's not like you could say, hey, you know, using the information we had at the time, this is what we thought, and we got to update it.
That's when screenshots come in handy.
Right.
Hey, like I always was told, there's too much like right though, Omar. Right? There's too much like right to do that.
Yeah, but you call yourself a journalist. That's what you're supposed to do. You know, nobody expects journalists to always be perfect and get a story right every time. But when they get it wrong, they're supposed to correct themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So then we've talked about it a couple times. I've now reached the part of the show where we would talk about Sandy's rant. So I put a link in the chat to Sandy's rant. It is only 11 minutes long, and
check that out.
You can mostly listen to it if you want. There's only very few graphics. One of them was he says something that his publisher thought that he should not, and they said don't try this at home. I felt they should have said, okay, boys and girls, don't try this at home, just because it would have been on brand. It would have been perfectly funny. Because for those who don't know, whenever Sandy starts a video, he says, hello, boys and girls. And so that would have been so on brand. It would have been funny. But he has good points. He's talking about the NHTSA. He's talking about Congress. He's talking about AI Day. And it is a true rant. And like I said, there's a little bit of salty language in there, but it's not that bad.
But he's not wrong.
Right, he's not wrong. He's not wrong at all. There we go. And then I had this one from Elon himself. Uh-oh.
Shut up, car.
Somebody crossed your path?
No, car in front of me was turning, so car saw that car was basically coming to a stop. But it was so far ahead of me, I knew he was going to be out the way. No need for me to slow down.
Mine does that all the time. So Elon put a meme up, Life Must Be a Keeper's Fight, and Falcon9 Block 5 Twitter account said, any update on FSD beta? And Elon replied with, we should be there with beta 10, which goes out a week from Friday. No point release this week. It will have a completely retrained neural net, so need another few weeks after that for tuning and bug fixes. Best guess is public beta button in 4 weeks. About 4 weeks. So one thing I noticed here is that Elon literally said 2 weeks. That's the very definition of 2 weeks without saying the word 2 weeks. Because a week from Friday, which was last Friday, is week after next, which is 2 weeks from, what was this, Thursday he said this? 25th? No, that was Wednesday he said that. So yeah, 2 weeks and 2 days. It's literally 2 weeks. And then the 4 weeks, we're not sure if that's 4 weeks from when he said it or 4 weeks from when the other people get their 2 weeks. So it's either 6 weeks or 4 weeks out, allegedly. Elon time. We'll see. Hurry up. I'm tired of waiting. I mean, I can beta test it for you.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, I say.
2 weeks.
That's all one of my tags to say. That's all one of my tags to say, but somebody already had got it.
Somebody had it? Yeah.
2 weeks. It took me 2 weeks to get my plan.
It took you 2 weeks.
Be ready in 2 weeks.
Dirty Tesla, aka Chris, he asked if V10 will bring the neural net code to Smart Summon as well, because Elon says that basically they're going to put everything on the FSD vision code because it's so much better than everything they've been using. We'll see. In 2 weeks. So we talked about the Hyundai Genesis EV a few weeks ago, and the folks at Autoblog found some spy shots of it with almost no camouflage. Like literally, they just covered up the name badge. That's it. I don't know why they're covering up the radar.
Who is that again?
Autoblog? Oh, the Hyundai Genesis?
They should write on that covering, not a Genesis.
Right. They're not as fun loving as Tesla. I literally, like, you see that the badge is going to go here.
Mm-hmm.
They just debadged it. Those are some nice wheels.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
I like the headlight look.
Yeah, they look
I
sharp
like
too.
the headlight. I
Yeah.
like it. It look like I like it.
Looks, I think it reminds me a little of a Porsche, like the Macan.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, and this isn't Hyundai's first EV, so we know that it's going to have 200-mile range. It's going to be performant, and they know what they're doing. So I'm excited about this. I'd like to take one out for a spin.
You asked for more.
Yep. So what do y'all think about this? A Hyundai.
I like it.
Yeah.
It looks.
It's good to see everybody jumping in the game, and everybody making compelling EVs, like stuff that people will actually want.
There
Yeah.
you go.
You know, I'm just glad to see, them. They stop I mean, if you think about the early EVs, besides, other than Tesla, everybody was making stuff that looked really weird and nobody wanted them. Really, not really. Like they were all ugly and funny looking, and like now they're making cars that people actually want, and it's good to see everybody really jumping into that game.
Right. So, our friends at Drive Tesla Canada had an article up, but it looks like they are having web issues right now because I can't find them. They discovered that, or somebody reported to them and they re-reported it, that with your keycards now on your Model S refresh, on your Model Ys, Model 3s, your keycard, if you use it to open the door on the pillar, you don't need to then, again, if you start the car within 3 minutes, you don't need to put it down by the cup holders as well. So that's a pretty good PSA. So FYI.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
Welcome
back, Robert.
Nice.
Wait, so was that a software update to change it to that?
Yeah, that was
minutes?
That was in the software update. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you open the car with the card within 3 minutes, you don't need to use the card again on the cup holder.
Right. So I didn't get the software update yet, so I'm still stuck with using the.
But you got your phone.
Use your phone, yeah.
Well, yeah, I use my phone anyway.
So you get time.
Yeah,
Omar,
but
do
if
you keep your
have
card
the-
in your wallet? Omar, do you keep your card in your wallet?
I do keep my card with me, although I've never actually. Well, no, I'll take that back. I've only had to use it once
Yes.
so far.
Let me tell you what.
So I do keep it with me, although I really don't have to use it. And even then, I didn't really have to use it. I could have just logged into the app and did it from the app. Well, or not logged into the app. I could have just opened up the app and did it from the app. But yeah, there was one time where my phone key didn't work right with the car.
Well, my situation was I just got it. I was going to get something to eat, and then my phone, I didn't pay attention to my battery. I was so busy with my phone, I wasn't looking at my battery for a second, and it went dead on me.
Yikes.
And then the keys was left in the car.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but I think somebody in the charger that put my phone in the charger for enough to throw some juice in my iPhone, and it came up alive because.
Oh, nice.
because I took the cards out, but I had the fobs in there, but I didn't pull the fobs. It had like a little battery, the little plastic thing to activate the battery.
Well, they weren't activated yet.
Right.
Oh.
I don't plan on using it. So I was locked out, but the phone did. I just trying to left the card there. So, but yeah, it's just a one time it happened. I said I never let it happen again. So I keep one in my wallet though, just like a card, the credit card.
Yeah, keep one on you,
yeah.
just in case, and you never have to worry about it. You got that insurance.
Exactly. So there have now been over 1 million Model 3s sold.
Nice.
Yes.
That's a lot of Model 3s.
There are. Elon liked this article, so I know it's true because typically if somebody says some false stuff about one of his companies, he will correct them. And so if he just liked it and didn't comment on it, that means it was true. Or he thought it was true. And since it's numerical, there's only so far you can go with that. So
That's a good thing about
Elon will
that.
call him out
That
on
is
it.
already.
yeah,
Elon will definitely call somebody out in the most savage form.
Oh
And
yeah.
and
Oh,
it won't be.
savage.
It's not savage. It's just him stating facts. He'd be like, "Hey, first start producing a vehicle first, like Rivian." I was like, "Oh, that
Yeah,
stings."
wait,
the
yeah.
I have
Sometimes,
receipts memes.
With a million
sometimes
cars sold and what, $1 billion in profit last quarter, I'm still I think there's a New York Times article. I guess I should have found it and shared it, but some of the other podcasts I listen to are still pointing out that Tesla's only making money from the EV the credits, clean credits. That's not. It's got a million
that's not
cars on the
true.
road. It's just not true
That's
anymore. It never
right. That's
was
not
true,
true.
but I don't understand. People are still pushing this. And
Yeah,
this is
they
this is
lost
market-based. This is
their
more
government support a long time ago, and that was directly to us, the customers, not to Tesla, the company.
Even if
right.
they were only making their money off of selling carbon credits, do you understand that a company is staying profitable for selling their carbon credits? Like that is like that isn't even an argument you should make. Oh, they're just making their money off of carbon credits. The fact that they can make their money off of carbon credits
The
is
funny part
nothing
about the
different
carbon
from that.
credits is that the funny part about the carbon credits is that means that your competition is literally paying you
Right.
because they're the ones buying the carbon credits. So now,
Like Fiat.
if that's an argument that you want to make, then you're saying, oh, they're just being propped up by their competition. Well,
Yeah.
that's a competitive advantage. If your
Right.
competition has to pay you, that's a huge competitive advantage.
Yeah.
So that's not even an argument they should be making. And by the way,
It's
it's
to the
not
point. Mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. If they harp on that, once you tell them they've sustained the first 3 to 5, maybe 10 years on carbon credits alone, I don't think even Subaru's reached that level. And they're the most health-conscious ICE company I know so far. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but this particular article that's still saying that was it was in the New York Times, and they reached out to Tesla for a comment, and of course Tesla doesn't respond
Doesn't
to
have PR.
PR department, so they just ran with it. And so I don't know. I guess he just lets his $1 billion in profit, 1 million cars sold, speak for itself.
Yeah, Steph and Demetria, our friends, they Steph is here. They were talking about how Tesla does a really bad job of defending themselves and getting the word out. I mean,
they do.
Yeah.
And when it is the word, it's the wrong word. It comes from Elon.
But I don't know if you guys saw, and I don't know if you talked about it earlier. I'm sorry I came in late, but there was a comparison between Tesla, GM, and Ford and their financials.
Yeah.
And if you look at the financial situation of each company, you know, if you look at the amount of debt that the company has versus the amount of cash on hand and the amount of money that they're making and whatnot, Tesla is in the green by like $8 billion in the green.
Yeah.
The other two companies, both GM and Ford, are running in the negative. GM is like $87 billion in the negative, and Ford is like $100 and something billion in the negative. So if you look at the health of the companies, looking at their debt and everything, Tesla's doing way better than their
Tesla's doing a phenomenal job. In businesses, they're in the red. They're operating in the red. They don't have enough.
Well, they're green now. They've been green for over a year. And so that's another thing that comes up is a lot of folks will point out that, oh, Tesla took a loan from the government. Well, they paid it back early. Nissan paid theirs back. Ford still has not. Ford has defaulted on that loan.
Right. Ford took a huge loan during the Great Recession, and they're still dealing with it. And GM just went bankrupt.
I think that came from another source. I just did the research on that one.
Oh, Elon pointed that one out for sure. And
Ford is about to start begging for another bailout. Is what's about to happen.
They might.
I don't think Ford, the government bailout, I think came from
No, Ford didn't take the bailout. Ford took a new vehicle production loan, same as Tesla and Nissan.
That's it.
Tesla paid theirs back early, and then Nissan paid theirs back on time, and Ford defaulted.
And GM just became government motors.
But everyone points out that Tesla got government money, but nobody remembers that Ford did too.
Tesla got like $50 million. Nissan got like almost $1 billion, and then Ford got over $1 billion.
Right.
And I think the only reason why they let Ford default because Ford is literally the only ICE American companies left standing
With
right
unions.
now, which is impressive.
But
Yeah, with unions. I think that's the only reason. It's impressive that they lasted this long, but they can only default on legacy. Period.
So, Steph, what did you say about how they don't do a very good job of presenting themselves as far as making people aware of their situation and their products? And
Well, I think that point mostly went to as fleets are starting to adopt the EVs, their police departments and government like utility companies that are going to be using Teslas, and the backlash from it, because a lot of people still have these like this misconception that all the Teslas are Model X, Model S prices. And so yeah, if I see my local police department is driving what I would have thought was $100,000 car, then yeah, maybe I'm like, that's not a very good use of our resources. And I just feel like Tesla does not do not even a good job. They don't do
yeah,
of educating people on the cost benefit of the cars. But just going back to the credits, I mean, I think you kind of have to wonder, like, should our government, and not just the U.S. government, but should governments really be paying Tesla, like like giving them regulatory credits is essentially paying them. And so basically us like taxpayers are supporting Tesla. So sure, they're making money, but they're making money now. They are. So, but prior to a year ago, really, it's like I mean, I don't want to say it's a socialist company, but it's like we're supporting it. Like the government is giving them the regulatory tax credits that they're then selling, and should they be able to? Because if ultimately the goal is to reduce the number to promote like EVs, shouldn't the government prohibit the selling and just say, Ford, make more efficient cars?
No, I respectfully disagree.
Definitely need to put a limit on it, because Tesla is
let her finish her point.
Regardless, they're going to make EVs regardless. Should the sustainability of that company tied to getting credits, which they're going to produce like EVs anyways. So do we have a financial incentive for them that they don't even really need? No, they're making money now. Take them away and make the requirements for all the other car manufacturers. You go green, or you don't get the offsets. You can't just buy them from Tesla, because as taxpayers, we're not getting that money back. Put that money into the communities that are being destroyed by all these inefficient cars.
Yeah, Tesla or each other. I mean, like, because you could try and buy it from Toyota. If Toyota had like an extra 2 that year, no, you should have to comply. That's the whole point of the program. You should be able to buy a jail-free card.
But it's a cap and trade. It's not coming from the taxpayers. It's coming from the people.
Not directly from us, but the fact that the punishment exists and they're able to buy their way out of the punishment means that we are funding this in a way, because they can avoid it.
So
but they avoid it by those companies making less money and making it more difficult for those companies who have to pay the regulatory credit to Tesla. Is that coming? I don't see how it's coming directly from taxpayers. They have to, those companies will have a lower stock price. They have to have more expensive cars, and their incentive then is to make an electric car, so that they don't have to pay that credit to Tesla. I'm sorry.
It didn't work for Fiat. Fiat just kept buying more credits at more and more prices around the world.
But you can't. But once they buy the credit from Tesla, they can't turn around and sell it to somebody else. They're just losing money.
Yeah.
Or they're allowed to continue to make inefficient cars. But
at some point, their cars have to be so expensive to overcome the money they're losing from the credits that they just can't sell them anymore. At some point, that happens.
Well, then the punishment needs to be higher to make those credits more expensive.
Yeah, so I wouldn't
because Fiat didn't make, but Fiat made a token amount of EVs, but they made them specifically so nobody would actually want them. and then they did such a poor job of it that they all fell apart.
But that is what cap and trade is. It's supposed to cap it, trade it, but they're supposed to reduce the cap is supposed to continually being reduced.
You need to just turn the knob a little bit.
Right. So yeah, I wouldn't get rid of them. I would make it like Kacey said, make it worse, make it higher, make them more expensive.
Yeah.
Oh, Dan wanted to. Oh,
okay. Sorry. I glitched out. I switched from cell signal to Wi-Fi.
Oh,
just to make sure
here's my thing.
Right.
What I heard, and I know it's not what you meant, Stephanie, but what I heard is you're trying to penalize Tesla for being profitable. Now I understand that
not for being profitable, but for already meeting the goal. Why should they get a bonus?
They're already meeting the goal. They're being punished for accelerating the process. Now, yes, it comes from taxpayers, but at the same time, taxpayers are funding $1 trillion of money. A complete step off the topic. All the equipment that's being left in the Middle East right now in the chaos, that's taxpayer funded. That is literally 20 years of taxpayer information that's left. Now, the government making a company change, we already know in the U.S. is not going to happen fast enough. What's happening right now is the market is being eaten up so quickly by Tesla, and just their car section alone, they're eating it up so fast that the companies have to, not by the government regulations, they have to keep their market share. And Ford did an ingenious job going in with Rivian and then pulling back out and take some of that tech. Now, if you're talking about people that are, say, under 30 grand a year mark, under the 40, 50 grand a year mark, it's our job, or somebody, yes, the company can do more. We're never saying the company can't do more. But if we know that there's misinformation, we correct it. So you go and you give misinformation. You say, here, take a drive in my car. When the HBCU thing happened in Atlanta, hey, Ashley Renee came and took a lot of them out to drive, and they just to ride in it, and they fell in love. My cousin in DC, she rode in a friend's Model S and loved the Tesla. Every time my cousin has the solar company where he builds solar on basically a shack, overhead carport. He has a Model 3. Every time one of my cousins riding it, they are fascinated by it, and I'm pretty sure he tells them all the time. He said there's the #1 selling Model 3 in America. I know this. But you're basically, in order for you to be able to afford that tax credit, you have to educate people for the finances to afford it. And a lot of people don't know. I've had to tell plenty of people, I can find a used Tesla at 30, 40, 50K. Like I can run off and I can bring it up right on screen and go, look, here it is. And it dispels the rumor right away. I understand they need to advertise. But advertising in my head means I want your money and you might get something false from me. If we're doing it, or if anybody in the car is doing it, I've run into people that are happy to talk about their cars. And my wife looks at me like I'm crazy because I'm holding myself up for 30 seconds or 2 or 3 minutes.
Well,
but
the problem with advertising,
what sell cars.
Part of the problem with advertising is, number one, you're spending a bunch of money on advertising instead of dumping all that money into expanding, into buying new factories, into research and development, which is where Tesla puts their money into. And the other thing about advertising is you advertise when you want to increase demand, when you want more people to buy your stuff. They can't make enough. So they don't want to advertise. Right now would be a bad time to advertise because they literally can't keep up with the demand. Now, once the other factories come online and they can actually start building enough batteries to actually try to keep up with their demand, and the chip shortage goes away and all that, in a couple years, okay, then it might make sense to start advertising. But right now,
but I'm not talking about just advertising just to sell. I'm talking about like education campaigns. Like
exactly.
And Elon agreed that they do need to do that.
I agree they need to do that. They need to educate people about, they need a PR. They really need PR.
PR function, whether they call it PR or not, some function that does what PR does.
Nobody trusts PR though. Nobody trusts PR in this day and age. Nobody trusts a company sanctioned PR.
I don't think that's true. I mean, I think that part of the reason that there are so many people that are put off from EVs is because of the way that the Tesla bros or whoever feel like they have to constantly defend, like just
That's a small fraction.
15
That's
minutes
like saying a Mustang or any other car.
like 10, 15 minutes ago, we're talking about how, there's all these clickbait articles. If you say something went terrible with Tesla, it's going to get people's attention because people there's not a central stream of information that is coming out from Tesla that you can verify from the source. The fact that we are having discussions on, well, we think it's probably true because Elon liked a tweet.
Yeah.
How is that possible for we should have a central stream of information coming from them. And I do feel like if you're talking about EV, it can't just be,
You're right.
cool cars and cool tech. Like we have to talk about the reason why we need to convert all the ICE cars. You have to talk about sustainability. You have to talk about environmental impact. And I just feel like we need to start holding companies accountable, it's not just if you're going to get any kind of incentives from the government, you have a responsibility to educate people and not just leave it to keyboard crusaders to combat all of the misinformation. That's people tune out. They're not going to pay attention.
Steph, I agree with you. I think you're right about that part. And have you seen Tesla's environmental impact report?
Yeah, I talked about it last week. Yeah.
Yep.
And it's not even an environment.
So something like, well, no, I was just about to say something about that environmental impact report. If you actually read it, it had a lot of that information in there about it.
Yes.
Right.
Nope, he dropped.
Yeah, and a true right. And to hopefully continue Omar's part and to pick up Stephanie's is that a true outreach department at Tesla would have been feeding that to the news outlets, and people outside of Tesla bros would see this and say, "Oh,"
and the news would be like, "Hey, did you know that Tesla just did this for this amount of input?" But to touch on what Dan and what Gook are talking about with the fossil stuff, I think that they could, for no cost to us, they could literally move the incentive from the fossil fuel discovery and all the other BS that we feed them, move that from the fossil fuel industry into EVs, and then it doesn't cost us any more in taxes or anything. I mean, yes, it will hurt a lot at the pump. I mean, maybe they could phase it out, but
that's what Elon would argue. Just get rid of all of it. He doesn't even want it.
Yeah, he doesn't want his. Yeah,
just get rid of mine, but you gotta get rid of theirs too. And when gas is $10 a gallon, EVs will they'll
sell themselves.
And at the same point, it's like to educate them is. Go ahead. I lost my thought.
It takes a lot to educate them.
And he brings up a good point. The Ford and GM would be more than happy if we all forgot about EVs tonight, and then they could just keep on doing what they've always been doing.
Okay.
It's not just getting rid of the subsidies from the gas, but there does need to be more supportive EVs to make them price competitive, because just that mature industry, 100 years of developing ICE engines and ICE manufacturing, and then 100 years of developing oil delivery and discovery, delivery, and processing. We don't have that with batteries. We've been spending the last 50 years figuring out how to make a battery that's less than $30 per kilowatt hour. Then we'd be there already. And so that investment still needs to be made.
Yeah, we were just showing that the video came from that car, showed that it definitely did not explode. I mean, because it was definitely in one piece. But as Stephanie was saying, if Tesla had somebody authoritative that could speak to this, that news article would have never got the ground to be hidden or whatever. It would have been dealt with immediately saying, hey, no, this car didn't explode. Here's the data. Like they used to do whenever people say, oh, my car accelerated into whatever. And then Elon would come back with the actual second by second. Well, first he'd say, no, it didn't happen that way. They'd keep on lying. And then Elon would be like, no, at 12 seconds you did this. At 10 seconds before impact you did this. At 5 seconds to impact you did this. And at 4 seconds, for some reason, you turn the wheel hard to the left and slam the accelerator. And then at minus 0.2 seconds, the first impact was detected, the airbags deployed, and at 0, the car came to rest. That sort of thing. Like, they don't do that anymore, and that was awesome when they did.
It's just like, nah, I'll just focus on hiring engineers and making more cars. You guys
but will that work in the long run? Is just keeping your head down and doing the right thing. You're also in the public eye at this point.
Right. And spending a small amount of money on a small PR team could go a long way for them. And I think that's part of the problem, and that's what they need to do, is they really need a PR team to
or something that does that function, even if you don't call it PR.
I don't care what they call it, but
right.
It's basically a PR team. And
exactly.
what the team needs to do is educate the public on what the actual facts are. And educate the public on things like the environmental impact report, things on like the stories that we were just talking about, that, oh no, this is not how this happened. This is what really happened. Respond to Wall Street Journal or whoever that reaches out to them and wants to know, hey, is this true? Because we're going to run with this story. Don't just let that go into the abyss with no response, and then they just print out a story that's totally untrue.
Yeah.
Respond to it and tell them the facts and tell them the truth. No, this is what's really what. And then that way the reporters can start reporting the truth instead of reporting nonsense.
You get, to continue that point, wants to spend all this money by getting more and more engineers to make the cars more and more perfect. If you had a PR team that gave you a little bit more endearment with your customers, not just the Tesla fanboys, then when something's not perfect, they let it slide a little bit. It's like, oh, it's okay. We understand the mission.
And here's the thing I was going to get back to. In this day and age, having only one source, especially from the company to verify, is not a source depending on who you're talking to. So if people believe in ICE vehicles so much, it doesn't matter that Tesla has a PR team because they're still going to believe what they want to do. And
but then when they start talking the nonsense, and then somebody says, "Well, here's what the company says," and then the company is on the hook for lying to the public if they say untruth stuff, then it holds a little bit more clout than, hey, some random dude on Twitter actually says this, and then here's his research. They're not going to do the research.
We know
only
the US,
believe in ICE vehicles because that's
companies here.
We only believe in ICE vehicles because that's what we've been taught our whole lives. If we were taught something different, if every time we turned on the TV, we didn't see an ICE car winding down a beautiful road thinking this is freedom, then we would think something different. If we saw every time we saw an EV doing that, we would think EVs were the stuff.
And
it's the marketing that has affected us.
Yeah, we have to remember the mission.
The EV market is tiny. We live in a bubble where we know the Tesla bros are going to be an issue, but the EV market is still so tiny that people only know of the Leaf, maybe the Bolt, and then Tesla in that order. So,
and then Anders has a great point here. Tesla does have a PR team, and they're called PR in China. They not only do they do the PR function, they are called Tesla PR China.
Required to. But
that's government.
If you can copy the COVID routines, copy the PR team.
What I think about though is like the supercharging network has got to be one of the most valuable assets for Tesla. And if Tesla can contribute at all to getting rid of a lot of the misconceptions about EVs, even if that's increasing the number of other car manufacturers that are making EVs, it's only going to bolster how valuable the supercharging network is, because it's going to have more cars that are going to need it. And so ultimately, in my mind, I'm like, they're doing a disservice to themselves, to the overall environmental mission, to the shareholders.
Their own mission, exactly, because their own mission is to make sure everything's electric. And
and I just feel like it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, why they don't do anything aside from Elon occasionally, confirming something or denying something, like Twitter battles. And I just
or saying that you're off by one word here, like
yeah,
just picking words. Yeah.
Yeah, I take your point exactly perfectly, Steph. If they had a PR team, then Tesla would not have to do it all. Then the public would demand it.
I also think, though, that this update to the app is a step in that direction, because he said that they're going to need to have some new functionality in the app to allow non-Teslas to charge on the network. So now there's an app. I wonder if maybe in the next month we'll see in Europe, where everybody's got the standard plug, including Tesla, maybe we'll start to see in Germany, Norway, Sweden, we'll start to see other vehicles able to charge on the Tesla network with the app.
That would be
and if that goes well, hopefully we see the adapter show up in the US. Of course, that adapter is probably going to need chips, so it might not be right away.
2 weeks.
The next question then is, how do you update the adapter? Does the supercharger push a firmware update to it when you plug in, or do you have to go home and plug it into USB? That's something they're going to have to think about as well. Yeah.
Who is this goop trying to tell me I'm wrong? Elon has been saying he's going to open up the network. If he wanted to open up the network, he would have done it a long time ago. He's saying that he's going to, but it hasn't happened yet. And my point, I don't even know why I'm addressing him.
He's talking to you.
But no, I mean, my point is just that, like, if you can do something to combat the misinformation about EVs, like every week when we're here, we're constantly talking about all these stories that make national news about Teslas that are catching fire, or all these issues with this, how the batteries are terrible for the environment, and Teslas aren't actually environmentally friendly, all this stuff that I'm just saying. And obviously you can say, forget that woman's opinion, who cares? But all of this stuff, I just feel like individual people should not be having these conversations, trying to defend Tesla, trying to educate the public. This information should be coming directly from the source. My point about the superchargers is that Elon has been saying for a long time that he wants to, that he plans to open up the network. I think that's a great idea. Obviously, like, I'm in favor of it. I don't want to be waiting in line if I need to use the charger. I think I should get to jump to the front. But I feel that's terrible to say. I take that. No, but he hasn't done it yet, which is my point. Like, you can say you're going to do something, but then after some years, it kind of just seems like you're just throwing it out there because it's a cool idea. But for me, especially as a shareholder, I'm like, encourage everyone to get an EV. The more all these other car manufacturers are making more, the more valuable your supercharging network is, which means that my stock is going to go up and up and up.
So, Steph, can I just mention something about? Can I just say something about the supercharging? So, Elon has not been saying for years and years that he's going to open up the supercharging. What he has been saying forever is that he will open up supercharging to any other car manufacturer that wants to jump on board and partner up with them.
Yeah.
Nobody, literally nobody, has jumped at that. Everybody's like, screw Tesla, we want to destroy them. So they don't want to partner with them. No. Mm-hmm. I'm just talking about other EV manufacturers. I mean, other car manufacturers. I'm sorry.
And so then what he did this year,
the other car manufacturers don't want to jump on board. They haven't yet.
Right.
Now,
so then this year he's going after their customers directly. It's like, hey,
right. So
you over there with the Mustang, come on over.
Exactly. So now he's saying he's going to open it up for everybody. And here's the reason why he's going to open it up for everybody. He said by the end of this year. He's going to open it up for everybody and just going directly after their customers. And the reason being is a couple of reasons, but the number one reason is because of the infrastructure bill and the way the infrastructure bill is written. There's money in it from the government to build more charging infrastructure. But in order to qualify for that money to build more charging infrastructure, it can't be a proprietary system that nobody else can use. Because basically they wrote the bill to try to etch out Tesla. So now his response to get a piece of that money so that he can build out his network better and faster is to go ahead and open it up to everybody.
Yeah.
That's the reason why he's doing it.
Yeah, and you never see them go against their people that are paying the bills. Like you don't see them say Chevys are on fire. They just say, "Oh, so sorry, Chevy had a recall. Go to your dealership. We'll see you at here's a happy puppy story." Yeah.
Have to play the game then.
Yeah, that's the problem is he doesn't want to play the game and he needs to.
Want to play the game. He doesn't want to pay for advertising in the major media outlets, and he doesn't want unions.
Well, he's not opposed to the unions. He just doesn't want the auto workers union.
UAW.
Yeah, that one. So we spoke a couple of weeks ago about the Volta trucks prototype, and remember Volta is the one that used to call themselves Thor trucks. So they had that nice, cool looking T on the front, and that's their logo for some reason. It's not a V for whatever reason, but they are now doing their real world testing on their trucks, and this looks really cool to me. I mean, it looked cool under the skin that they had it on, but this looks functional. It's like rugged. I mean, obviously you'll need some fenders and something to protect the cab from the load, but I mean, this is a good start. There it is under the cladding, but not for the testing.
Is both the company that has the free charging?
No, this is the they used to be called Thor trucks. Oh, they went with the central driving position, just like Tesla. You got the camera mirrors, so those might not make it to the U.S. With the triple screens. Oh, she can see the biker. So it looks like they did the pivot. We talked about this as well. They did the pivot to more of the medium duty than or not say medium duty, but the smaller trucks than the semis, which I think is smart because not very many of the other manufacturers are addressing this style of truck. They're all going for semis and pickup trucks. So if you can slot yourself in the middle, you can run a bookmobile, a blood drive. You can move all sorts of cargo. I mean, think about what the shipping companies could do with this thing. It's a good move.
Yeah, jump into the space where nobody else is at.
Exactly. Especially if everybody that is there is bigger than you, so you might as well focus where they're not wasting. Not waste your money in the same pool. Go where you got a competency.
I just want to say, if it was named Thor Motors, it was a missed opportunity to partner with Disney.
I wonder if something like that with rights came up is why they changed the name.
There very well could be, but if I was Disney, I'd take advantage of it. Make a deal to throw them on all my parks.
You can make this into a bus so easily and then compete with BYD. I'm looking at it. It looks like a bus right here. I would think this would make a fun camper too, depending on the range. Got a mobile restaurant out of the back, out the side.
They can make an RV out of that thing. That would sell.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Electric RV would sell like gangbusters.
It would. Especially with like a 200-mile range and compatibility with all of the... I'm echoing.
Kacey, stop talking dirty.
I mean, you'd probably need a 300-mile range to be more, RV ready, but still.
Yeah. Or solar?
Oh yeah, put solar on top, or have a solar canopy that you can fold out when you're parked and camped.
Exactly. So Inside EVs pointed out that I'm still echoing. What am I echoing on? Is it my own screen? No? Okay, good. So the 2022 Hyundai Kona Electric is going to get a lower price. It's going to drop down to $27,000 after taxes. And guess what? It's got a 200-plus mile range.
So
I have an option. I can get a 100-mile range or a 200-mile range EV for the same price.
Yes.
See?
Let's see where they say. So they also have a selection of ranges. They don't just have one. So 258 miles for all their trims.
Come on, Mazda.
Or for all their years, I should say. Yeah.
Come on, Mazda.
So for $28,000 after taxes, I'm definitely going for the Hyundai over the Mazda. 258 over 100. And this is what I'm saying. It's great that Mazda's finally joining the group, but
what's the range on the Standard Range Plus these days for the Tesla Model 3?
200 and change.
Look,
I mean, literally, if they didn't have the technology in-house, they could have got Magna or any of the other people like Ford used to do to build them the car. Get LG. Hey, LG, build us the whole car, put our name on it, just like Chevy did with the initial Bolts. I mean, literally, there is no excuse for it to be that low at that price point. I mean, look, Hyundai is just walking all over them with this. Same base price, same after-tax price, 158 extra miles. And 120 miles per gallon equivalent. I don't know that they've rated the Mazda so we can see what the MPGe is. Oh, and you get colors? You get colors too? Oh. So,
Maybe Mazda is just making that 100-mile range one so they don't have to buy credits anymore.
I think that's exactly what it is. Because the battery qualifies for the maximum credit with the battery size they have.
It's probably cheaper than buying the credits.
Exactly.
That was my question earlier.
Because they don't make any hybrids. Like
Shame.
they don't make any hybrids. This is their first chance at.
Now, don't they actually have to sell this car or just build it? I mean,
they have to at least lease them. So we might see them only in California.
Okay.
So the Model 3 Standard Range Plus is 263 miles. Is that the Iron one or the one that's leaving sale now? But either way, we're talking 10 miles an hour, 10 miles of range difference. So let's say this is the nickel one. That would mean that the Iron one is 253. But if this is the Iron one, that would mean that the nickel one is 273.
No,
I guess my point for the question was that you're still looking at almost a $15,000 difference though, for very similar miles.
Yeah.
So the Model 3, the higher one is 263, and the one that gets less is 253.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, the only way I can see this working is Mazda is hoping that people don't change brands ever, or they're looking at people who maybe want to trap their children in the college that they're at. They can't go out of town.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was actually thinking that if I go down to the Mazda dealership and catch with the EV tax credit, and maybe Mazda's going to be doing some specials on it, I can get like Stephanie and basically get a free car for a few years.
Yeah, I'm sure that they'll do like money on the hood and everything to make it end up being free. But as it is, if you buy it outright, it's going to be expensive. But if I can lease it for free, or effectively free, and my kid is off to college for 3 to 5 years, and I know they can't leave town without me if I was a controlling parent, then that might be interesting.
Okay, that could be a use case.
I don't think it's a good use case because you're burning all of those resources that go into making a crash-worthy car, and you're wasting 33 kilowatt hours of battery that could go into a car that actually goes somewhere. I would get them a used Leaf, put a new battery in it, and then I'd know they're stuck anyway.
Right, because I mean,
plus if they crash it like kids are wont to do, I don't have to worry about them crashing my new car.
So the original Leaf that came out in 2011 had a 24 kilowatt hour battery.
Right.
So I mean, you're putting a 33 kilowatt hour battery. What? I mean, at this point, why?
Right. I mean, I would expect that in the range extender on a trailer, but we've seen all the trailer range extenders are 85 kilowatts, so kilowatt hours. So we were just talking about how people seem to be confused with, allegedly, with how autopilot works. But I don't even think it's that they are. I think it's literally that the people who've never driven a Tesla see the word autopilot and then freak out. And NIO is trying to get ahead of that in their case. They are now requiring a safety quiz before you can use the features. I don't think this is a bad idea. I think it is a little bit unnecessary because with all the warnings about hold the wheel, pay attention every time you turn it on, all the manufacturers, not just Tesla, all of them do it this way. And as we saw, 2 weeks ago? 17 cars. Every single one of them let them drive the car without somebody in the chair.
That's what a PR team will do for you, so people stop talking about
Yeah,
Autopilot sucks.
exactly.
So from what I saw with Ford, their Blue Cruise is actually way more dangerous than Tesla because
It lets go.
it literally lets go if it thinks the curve is too sharp that it's coming up to.
Yeah,
So
somebody
it gives
was.
you a visual clue to let you know to take over.
Yeah,
But from what I saw, it doesn't give you an audio clue. It's visual, and then
it's
it just
visual and it doesn't
lets
nudge or
go.
anything.
It doesn't even know what
Somebody.
to do, so it just lets go.
Yep.
So if you're not paying attention, you're gonna be in trouble quick.
Right. Like if you go to sleep or something on accident, like the narcoleptics and stuff, that sort of thing. At least the Tesla will stay in lane and stop. But somebody was talking with Sandy on where he was talking about how this system that Ford has could use some adjustment. The guy said that he was on the test drive, he was doing the Blue Cruise, and he didn't grab the wheel in the curve, and next thing you know, his car is trying to collide with a semi truck because the semi is going around the curve, and his car should be going around the curve, and instead it's going straight into the trailer. Thankfully, he was paying attention and took over.
Yeah, that's terrible.
It's a joint between Mazda, Ford, and BMW. Toyota, Ford, and BMW have all built EVs that can go over 100 miles. That's a daggum shame. It's like, here's the D team. Here, go build yourself an EV.
I could
Yeah,
probably build
exactly.
something better than that in my garage.
I bet you could. I mean, Zach's over there on Jerry Rig Everything. He's building himself a EV Hummer with a Model S pack, or Model X pack. Sorry, he said. Yeah. So I mean, this is one way to handle it. But the problem is then that you'll have people just skip their way through the test and then still drive irresponsibly. So I think that it's really just a matter of just like click it or ticket. If you see somebody not driving correctly, and in fact the car can report them itself and just put you in autopilot jail because most of these systems now have cameras watching the drivers. Just lock them out. Lock them out. Or if you see them on the road like the backseat bandit, take them to jail. A night in jail will teach them. Pay attention. Speaking of Tesla crashes, the Model S Plaid crashed at the Nürburgring, as well as the new Chevy Corvette also crashed at the Nürburgring that day. So because these two cars spewed debris all over the track, the Porsche Taycan also couldn't do its deal at the track. So 3 cars couldn't complete their testing. But from what I understand, all the drivers are safe, and that's what's important. These are all material things, and these were all being run by the manufacturer, so it's not like they're hard up on money to so it's not like they're hard up on money to actually complete their testing regimen. And so what this also means is that now Tesla can use this data from the car that slipped off the track and build a better software by the time that the new car lands at the airport, and then they can see themselves set the new record. And in fact, we did just see last night a new software hit the Plaids and is now starting to go around the fleet. So I'm excited for that. What do y'all think?
This is right up your alley, Marcus.
I was going to say, what do you think, Marcus? You got the Plaid.
Lovely. I should have my car back hopefully this week coming up. So we're gonna see.
There you go. And then you get to do your software update, hopefully.
Yeah.
So Sawyer Merritt says that was quick. So the Model Y is now the best-selling EV in Norway for August. And he says that took like less than a week. And that's true. It did take less than a week because the boat landed and they all delivered, and and now they're the best-selling EV in Norway by 3 cars. The one that's underneath the ink is the Volkswagen ID4. These aren't bad numbers.
That Model Y, there's a lot of demand for that.
Yes.
I wonder how
exciting.
it's going to fare next year, though, when there's more like mid-size SUVs that are available. Because I think the Cadillac Lyriq is going to take a good chunk of that Model Y demand.
Well,
I
that's a good
just
thing
saw.
because
I don't
you
think
if
the
you
lyric's gonna, I don't think the lyric's going to take the Model Y demand. I think the
they'll take
lyric's going to
some. They'll take
I
some.
think it's going to take some of that BMW X5 and some of the other gas car. They're gonna slice up some of the other demand for other gas vehicles in that segment.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna get
And,
the same price range.
But
But I saw a commercial for a lyric last night.
I did, yeah.
Speaking of PR, and I just stopped and watched the whole commercial. It was a nice looking ride.
It is.
It's like this is sweet.
plus,
It's nice looking, but I don't think they're going to be able to make enough of them. I think
Oh.
they're still going to have that problem of not being able to build enough of them.
well,
Yeah.
I got a invite for a preview for them, and it was
Nice.
saying that I know, although
Bring a camera
I can't afford
if they let you.
I was gonna say, yeah, I can't afford another one. Maybe sell my
Just bring your cell phone camera if they don't stop you. Some of them will put tape on your camera right away.
Oh wow. No, but what I was
You can probably sell your Y and get.
No, don't do that.
yeah, probably. But what was it? Oh, I was gonna say it kept saying 22, 23, and
Oh.
so right. I should send you the email because it was saying that they're expecting them out in the first half of 2022, but then they were 2023 models. But I mean, the price point just slightly under 60 with the federal creds. For me, I got state cred as well.
Yeah.
It's cheaper than the Y, and
Right.
it is a super, at least from the pictures, and I've watched a bunch of videos on YouTube, but it looks just stunning.
It was
like
very stylish.
actual luxury mid-size SUV, and I mean, I'm excited about it. But I mean, my point was just I think that that might take some of the Y. I mean, because what really were our choices? Don't nobody want a ID4? Like those things are trash looking. And
Zach and Jesse would agree.
I've been seeing a lot of ads for that thing. It's like, hey, Dad didn't know I was sneaking out. I never had an app that told me that she was sneaking out.
I do think there'll be demand for that ID8 though, just because of the size and the third row that actually, and the price point for it. But yeah, we'll see. I'm excited about it, and I think that the Y, when it really has some competition from car manufacturers that are making luxury mid-size SUVs, we'll see how the Y, how the demand for it fares.
There's a couple of things with that though. Like we do want to see them go from 90% to something like 75% of the market, because that means that everybody else is selling more, assuming that their sales don't drop. And what we really want to see is more converts from combustion into EVs. And I suspect, again, because Elon can be petty, I suspect that we'll see the Model Y standard range rear-wheel drive come back as these other cars start to hit the market at lower price points than Tesla with the tax credit. Yeah. Unless the tax credit itself goes back for Tesla.
There's a new Model Y in my neighborhood like every week. Every time I'm driving through the neighborhood, there's a new one parked in front of somebody's garage. But it would be nice to see other manufacturers, though.
Yeah. Go ahead, Omar.
So I don't think that Model Y is going to decrease in demand.
No, I just think that their percentage is going to go down.
Oh yeah, the percentage absolutely, but the actual demand for it, I still think they're going to still be in the same problem of not being able to build them fast enough for a while.
Yeah. Well, he wouldn't be building 3 factories if he didn't think they could sell them.
Right. So that's going to be. I don't see that being an issue. But yes, you're right. There will be some people that will, instead of getting a Y, get the, get the lyric or whatever. That will happen. But I don't think it's going to be in large numbers. And some of it may be just people not wanting to wait. Because the wait on the Y right now is insane. You order a Y right now and you're not getting it till like January, February. So, if you can get a lyric right now instead of the Y, 6 months from now, then okay, you might get the lyric.
with
Right.
the
So
big tax credit also. So it's going to be that for a while.
Yeah, there's that too. There's the tax credit as well. So that
Yeah.
helps.
So
That helps.
we touched on this earlier. So Tesla got $465 million and they repaid it in 2013. Nissan got 1.448 billion. They repaid theirs in 2017. Ford got $5.9 billion and never repaid it. Fisker got $500 million and they went bankrupt. At least they went bankrupt. They didn't just like stiff us. Like we, the taxpayers, gave them this money as a loan, and Ford got bailed out, or GM got bailed out, and Fiat Chrysler got bailed out. But we knew what we were getting into with them. Ford did the sneaky workaround situation because they asked for this money for the loans, or actually they asked for the bailout. So then they took the loan instead, and then they didn't pay us back. And that's coming from Clean Technica. What's up with the myths about government subsidies? That one's by Zach Shahan, and it's a good read. It gives you more into what happened with all of his money. And this is the program right here, the ATVM loan program, the alternative something or other fuels. And basically, it was to help them build electric cars and alternative fuels. And he even talks about the regulatory credits. I'll save this one for me to read later too. Reread later too. I skimmed it last time. We talked about Tesla Model 3 going over $1 million several times. This one was a fun one for our folks on the Rivian camp because the Rivian R1T and R1S are in Australia for some reason. The only thing I can think of is winter testing. I don't know any reason to be in Australia right now before you sell in the U.S. But they are left-hand drive prototypes.
I think they're just doing a lot of testing. I mean, you take it to the outback of Australia, you can beat the crap out of that thing. See how
when you take it to the outback in the winter, it's going to be even tougher.
And with winter down it, right, exactly. So I think it's just really just to do a lot of hardcore testing with it and to really see how they stand up, because the thing about it is they want their truck to be a tough truck. They don't want it to be, something that they're going to get a lot of returns with, a lot of people having a lot of issues or problems because they can't afford to have a bad reputation. They can't afford to, do a lot of service to these things. So they want them to be tough. And I think that's what it is.
Yeah. So Lordstown Motors, their new CEO is focused on their electric truck launch, he says. And for some reason, their stock shot back up. And, this is not a financial advice program. We're not stock brokers. We're not stock advisors, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's a little bit weird that their stock has gone up so much when they just installed a new guy. It doesn't mean that they're actually going to make the truck. It just means that they are trying to come back from what happened with Hindenburg, exposing all of their gray areas and straight up lies.
The moment. So this is not Nikola Motors. This is Lordstown.
Yeah, they have prototypes that actually go uphill, but they still catch fire.
So the problem with this is if they had not politically aligned themselves and stay apolitical, I think it would have been a lot better. You can pick better apolitical leads like The Rock, like Janelle Monáe, who's doing the lyric commercials now.
Yeah, that was a good commercial.
And I was impressed with the commercial. I'm not a big fan of commercials of EVs. Like I will dispute against the Tesla commercial things, but she's easy on the eye. So it's like, hey, Janelle Monáe, what is that car? Hey, it's a lyric. Hey, like I get the marketing from that standpoint. However, stepping back, it is, I don't get it why their move was what it was, because the base for the person they aligned with at that premiere, the base is still not going to go electric. Political.
Yeah.
That base is still not going to go electric, so I don't know what's the point of it.
Well, they might with the Ford now, but I don't know that they would go for the work truck, because this Lordstown is going to be purely a work truck when it comes out. It's not going to be a nice pavement princess.
Yes, and with the Lightning, I'm literally going to drive up to somebody else with a a diesel or a dually for no reason other than being a soccer dad, and then be like, yeah, you can't hear it because it's electric. And they're going to go, huh, really? I'm like, yeah, you want to take a ride? And hit that
Right.
instant torque. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Again, we're going to have the same issue with Ford, but unless the Ford dealerships give the test drive, I don't think it's going to transition over as quickly either, because Ford's going to fight two fronts.
They're gonna do test drives as soon as they're done selling all the ones that hit the ground.
Yeah.
So earlier I touched on how Elon was talking about the difference between the two SR Plus models, and this is just an article on the series of tweets he put where he's explaining that the iron wants to be at 100% and the nickel wants to be at 90%. And that was that.
So there's advantages and disadvantages.
Oh yes.
So, so really it's either way. I don't think either way is necessarily bad or wrong.
Right.
It's just
the next article I had was another one from Drive Tesla Canada, which again is still down. They were talking about how in the U.S., I think all of North America, you can get the diagnostic software and manuals from Tesla. You can rent them by the hour, by the day, or by the month, including toolbox access. So you can actually do stuff like reprogram your own car. And I think that's a good move in the right direction towards right to repair and not throwing away good cars. You still have the problem where if it ever gets a branded title, Tesla will drop you like hot potatoes. But at least this way, if your car doesn't have a salvage title, you can do some of your own work now instead of having to. You might be far from a service center, or you might have the skill and not want to pay them for the labor. Now you can do your own work at home, officially sanctioned with the proper notes and everything. And then we talked about the key cards. And we looked at the Genesis. And we looked at the sales. Here's another one that was interesting to me. This one is in Ghana. They have a solar cargo logistics service. They called it a solar taxi, but really it's electric solar powered van network that just delivers stuff, kind of like a local FedEx or something like that. I thought it was cool. Oh, I was talking on me again.
It's actually Alex Frieda.
I have no idea why it's just automatically going to mute. I'm not clicking it, but I think it's cool too. So I asked my delivery guys whenever they come to the house, how many miles do you drive a day? And it's always 100, 150.
What?
You should be driving an EV.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely. It totally makes sense.
Have we covered, or is that another time, the food truck that we may have saw in our circle, the food truck that has a battery pack? It's a permanently stationed food truck, but it has a battery pack with the solar on
talking
top.
about the cart in New York with the fish lady?
Yes.
We
Have we
haven't.
covered that? Okay.
We have not, but it's a good idea. So she's got a food cart in New York City, and it's got a couple solar panels on top, and it's completely solar powered, which is
with
a good
the battery
move.
pack at the bottom.
Yeah, she's got a battery pack too, which helps. She doesn't have a generator running, so there's not fumes and there's not noise. Like there's not enough noise already in the city, and your meal is just a little bit cleaner that way. So for some reason, GAC Aeon is making a 600 kilowatt fast charger, and they're going to bring it out next week. There are no cars right now that can take anything more than a 450 kilowatt fast charge, but as long as it can ramp itself down, going faster is always fun. Less time on the road, right?
Is this? I'm trying to figure out the main purpose for it being able to do 600. Because since no cars are able to take advantage of that right now, is this in preparation for trucks or something? Or
that's a good point. A truck could take it today. Assuming they have the right cabling for that.
Right.
So I'm thinking just future proofing and also,
Yeah,
like you
future
said,
proofing, I
trucks.
guess.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking it would be useful for trucks.
Absolutely.
And how expensive is that thing going to be to build, and how many are they going to be able to build? How fast are they going to be able to build that out?
They're going to get lapped by somebody who does it later because the first mover situation is yours is going to be the expensive one, and you're going to be trying to get that money back. And somebody like Tesla or Tridian or somebody else like that is going to come by and just lap you. But if you could get bought by one of them and then they can just make your stuff cheaper, that's a good idea too.
Yeah.
So Maryland's going to spend $3.7 million on car chargers. Governor Hogan has announced as of yesterday to the article that they're going to spend $3.7 million to fund 36 new public fast chargers at 13 locations and 145 workplace charging ports at 24 business locations. And that's going to be coming from their Volkswagen money.
He's a conservative.
Wait a minute, what? 13 locations?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, and then 24 business locations as well.
Right.
Okay. Interesting.
And then he says another important step to expanding access to electric vehicle charging across the state and encouraging more Marylanders to purchase and use electric vehicles. This is somebody not letting politics get in the way of the right thing.
Well, Maryland has been moving pretty good on EVs.
They have.
Yeah. Just being from Maryland, Hogan regularly squabbles with the city mayor, so I did not expect this from Hogan at all. That's why I was like, this is the conservative thing? It's like this is kind of surprising to me to hear this, because, again, like I say, Democratic state, and he's constantly butting heads with the largest metropolitan area. So this is surprising. Makes me proud.
Hey, I met Omar in Maryland at a supercharger opening.
There were a couple of politicians there too.
Yep.
And there were politicians there. Some were not fully convinced, but some were quite convinced about the future of EV, and especially how it tied in with the local economy. That people are going to be coming there to charge their cars and will buy stuff while they're charging.
Yeah, that one lady's husband who is like, I drove a gas car here. So I had an article lined up. We spoke about it on the Tesla Life show, where this side of the Gigafactory was looking like it might have ended up being a Cybertruck silhouette, because this would have been a wheel, this could have been another wheel, and this was like the nose, and then over here was a sloped back. And this is what I was talking about earlier in the show, where I said, Tesla said, nah, let's just keep rolling, and it's not going to be a Cybertruck silhouette in the windows. Okay. But that would have been really cool. Yeah.
That would have been really cool, but they went with the practical approach instead.
they had time to change it. It would have been nice. Shell plans to install 800 EV chargers at UK supermarkets. They claim to be energy companies. They're putting their money where their mouth is. They're becoming an energy company, it looks like. They bought a couple charging networks as well over in Europe and the UK. So
the supermarket works because you can park, shop, and be charged by the time you get out.
Don't forget Shell considers their supermarkets, their convenience stores, to be supermarkets.
It depends on how much stuff is in there.
These are gas stations, baby.
Or convenience stores.
Yes.
I mean, I have stopped by not getting gas.
Although I will say this, if their fuel depots are the same size as ours, it may be closer to the size of their actual supermarket, so it might not be as much of a stretch as calling the ones here, their convenience stores, calling them a supermarket.
It certainly depends on, I don't know how specific they are about what speed charging they're talking about. Is it DC fast charging?
It's DC
charging. Yeah. DC. Mm-hmm. Okay, I guess
they don't want you there forever. They just want you there to buy stuff and leave.
So now you say supermarkets. They're not talking about like a big grocery store. This is like
I think that's the convenience stores. That's the only thing that makes sense. Why would Shell be at a supermarket?
Right. So just a little,
But
quickie marts.
Right. Yeah. My understanding is that UK supermarkets are a lot smaller than US supermarkets. So I think they're also larger than their fuel depots, but the convenience store might be closer in size. If their convenience store is the same size, it might be closer in size to a real supermarket that they could get away with calling it that.
So it could be targeting more like a supercharger network, where we're looking at somebody who's traveling, quick charge up.
Yeah, because if they're home, they're going to be charging at home.
Right.
Yeah. So, Connecticut dealership is suing Tesla.
Another lawsuit.
Oh yeah, because they're opening a service center. Apparently, he thinks he can service Tesla cars. Tesla seeks to open up a business in East Hartford, Connecticut, close to the plaintiff's dealerships for the sale of new automobiles and pre-owned vehicles and service, in violation of Connecticut law.
If that dealership really tried, they can. All they have to do is get with Rich Rebuilds, and they have the weight behind them legally to do it. So if you're going to sue Tesla, do it the right way. Do your research. Find Rich Rebuilds and be like, let's go at this. Because
they keep saying they're so much better, but then they just keep doing this backhanded competition rather than doing it the right way.
You literally can go back and be like, we're partnering with the number one YouTuber that can fix electric cars. Throw them behind us. Train our staff, because I've always said, no matter what car you have, they're going to crash.
But it seems like all of these dealerships want a free market competition until you free market competition in their market. So,
yeah,
right.
Then we want to sue. Then we want our free court system to protect us.
Yeah, I completely agree. But if you're going to sue it right. Like, we already got Rich Rebuilds out here advocating against the right to repair for Tesla, which is a legit thing. So if you're going to come at Tesla, partner with Rich Rebuilds and go at it right. Like, then you have a capable argument. You can come with some beef behind your back, or you can come up with like, hey, at least with us you can repair anywhere you like, rather than just be like, oh yeah, we just want to sue them and X, Y, and Z because they're opening up a service center. No, do your research. Find Rich Rebuilds. Like, he's on Tesla bad list anyway, so just go for it. I mean, it's down. They need publicity. They need a PR team. The dealerships need a PR team.
No, they don't. They spend enough money. They need to get the program. So, Musk is the latest company executive to oppose NVIDIA's planned takeover of ARM, according to the Telegraph. Several companies, including Intel and others, are opposed to NVIDIA buying ARM, the chip designer. They don't actually build their own chips. They license them out for other people to build, like Samsung and Apple. I mean, I guess they feel there's going to be less competition in the middle of the chip shortage, so I guess that makes some sense.
So somebody's trying to capitalize on the chip shortages.
Yep. There was more article to this when I added it. It's like, listen to this. It's like 25 seconds. So here's the whole article. And of course, Tesla didn't respond to comment because they don't have a PR team. So Amazon and Samsung are also opposed. But they weren't the only ones listed when I loaded this up.
They just put Musk on the front.
Well, because he's the most recent one. The other two were already opposed to it. Yeah.
And it's Tesla and Musk.
Well, I mean, in the auto industry, who uses the most chips, probably?
Of course, Tesla. They're making their own chip in-house.
He's going to get the most clicks, so they're going to put his face on there and that's why they decided to run the story after he joined on, instead of just go ahead and running with the story before he jumped on. Nah, it wasn't even a story until he jumped on.
Exactly.
Because that's going to get clicks. We got it.
And it's advertising.
That it is. All right, so Waymo is done selling LiDAR and self-driving sensors to other companies.
It's just because they're keeping it for themselves.
That's speculation. Is they keeping it for themselves, or are they done with LiDAR? I suspect that they're just keeping it to themselves.
That's what I'm thinking. They're keeping it to themselves.
Yeah, because the other companies they were selling it to were not car companies, so I don't know if they were going to get much bite anyway.
So, just going to jump in real fast, guys. My brother from Atlanta literally just showed up at my house as a surprise visit.
Ah!
So I catch you
enjoy.
guys.
Tell him hello.
All right. Bye, guys.
See ya. So the LiDAR issue could be lack of supplies. There's the
yes.
chip shortage and everything else. So lack of supplies could mean, hey,
they can't sell them if they're buying them and using them themselves.
For ourselves, right?
Yeah.
They may not have enough to have the excess to be able to sell them.
Yeah. And in France, plug-in car sales are slightly improved in July 2021, while the entire market in France is down 35% year over year. So that's not bad. Not bad at all. I mean, to actually have an improvement while everybody else is just falling like a rock. Next up is Rivian is filing for an IPO of $80 billion.
Ooh, I saw that. I've never been more excited about it. EV stock since I missed out on Tesla 7 years ago because I didn't know Tesla had a stock and I didn't know about stocks. But tracking just their funding from the articles, their deal with Ford, their deal with Amazon, it's just there's yes, they haven't put a vehicle on the street yet, but Bezos just threw a rocket. Well, that funny looking rocket, I'll just say that, into space, at the edge of space, in a private measuring
It was in
contest
space, but it wasn't in orbit.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, no, it wasn't in space either. You're right. It wasn't at the Kármán line.
Yeah,
The edge of space.
Okay, so here's my take on it. As far as startup companies go, I think Rivian is probably one of the best positions and poised to be able to be successful because they do have a lot of real money behind them, with Ford and with Amazon and with Bezos with his Blue Origin or whatever. I think they are in a good position to be successful.
They're in an awesome position, especially.
And I think going public doing an IPO is going to raise money for them to get their new factories built up and actually get the capital needed to get mass production going. So I think after they go public, which is supposed to be around Thanksgiving, then you'll probably shortly thereafter start seeing them ramp up and actually start producing and getting cars out to the masses and actually selling vehicles to the public. I think.
What does anybody think the IPO should go at? Just we're not going to survive the vote. What do you think the IPO will be?
Oh, I don't know. I'm no financial expert. I don't know.
They were going for a couple good billion. I was looking for a response from. I was looking for a response from our favorite CEO here, and the one I wanted is missing because Twitter's being mean to me. But let me find this one. So he responded to this thread as well.
Oh, when he said they should probably start actually selling some stuff first before.
That's the one I was thinking of, but I found this one instead. So Ross Gerber's talking about if that makes Rivian worth $8 billion on IPO, then that would make Tesla worth $8 trillion by the same metrics. And then this guy says ahem and posts a chart, and then Elon says pretty much. Remember when Tesla was producing hundreds of thousands of cars and was worth $30 billion just a few years ago? Yes. So he had a couple thoughts on that one because I counted like 6 tweets, including the one I couldn't find.
And this is when they finally got him to say, "Can you say a little as possible and let people do the talking for you?" He goes, "Yeah, you happy?" Because that's exactly what it sounds like.
All right, so the top 10 EVs for the first half of 2021, pretty much what we saw in the middle of the chart. Tesla Model Y, Model 3, Chevy, then Ford, then Nissan.
So that Mustang Tesla killer that everybody was saying that was gonna,
yeah,
that's they sold all of 11,000 of them. Good job.
Less than the Bolt. So then Brooks went over to the track and he was running his plaid all day, and he came back with 20% after 40 quarter mile launches, and it was still booking it. That's exciting.
Nice.
Should move this one up in the show so that Marcus can comment on it. This is exciting. I can't wait to see Smoke on the track. By Smoke, I mean EV Smoke, his car.
Oh yeah, it was fun seeing you on the track.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
Imagine seeing a rap and oh god, it's going to be crazy.
And this is what we've been talking about all show with the car that hit a police car that was allegedly on autopilot. There's no way that they could know without subpoenaing the data from Tesla, because there's people who will try to get out a ticket by saying the car was on autopilot, even though it wasn't. So I think this is too breaking to say it was on autopilot.
Let's just assume that it was. Let's just assume that it was on autopilot and say, hey, it was on autopilot. Okay. Why wasn't the driver paying attention? Why did the driver have it? Because if the driver was paying attention, it still wouldn't have happened.
Exactly. I mean, because don't forget, you're supposed to slow down and move over as well. So you're on your third level of just totally messing this up if you're colliding with a police car. You're supposed to be watching and maintaining the car. You see those flashing lights, you're supposed to get out of the way. I mean,
I just did a road trip last week, and yes, the car drove probably, I want to say, like 90% of the time, but the entire time I paid attention and supervised the car. You still have to supervise it. You still have to pay attention.
It's like a teenager. Absolutely. You can go out for so long, but you got to supervise.
And there's still little corrections you have to make every now and then. So I had to make corrections here and there. Had I completely relied on the car and not paid attention, I would have definitely been in an accident at some point on my trip.
A collision.
Right.
Crash.
Right. A crash. Exactly.
Because nothing accidental about that.
Right.
Yes.
That would have been just negligence on my part. So yeah. We still got to.
So I think we had a great discussion today. We covered a range of topics and a ton of news, but I have exhausted a lot of you guys' time. So what I will do is I'll play a little video and I'll catch the staff after the panel after the blurb, and the rest of you guys I'll catch you on the flip side.